Waiting for the final gates to open to a new tomorrow, moving with the motion, following the light that sets me
Welcome, Saints Nation, to the Saints Gaming CA channel once again here. This time we got playoff action in the Upsurge minor league. I've been looking forward to this one for quite a while. Nice to see a new team up against us here this time by. Looking forward to what happens. Of course, my name is Dan Banner, also known as Mr. Danners, your host and producer. Alongside me, we have Matt Avery once again here for some League of Legends action. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing good. Excited for some League of Legends tonight against a new face this time in that Upsurge minor league. And since we got that 5-0, we do have we did skip that 32 bracket at the start, so they did make it through. And let's see how they face up against one of the top teams in the Upsurge right now.
Absolutely. Of course, our opponents here today is Murk Tempest. So they're not necessarily representing a college, but of course we knew that getting into the Upsurge minor league, that we have basically the door open to anything here in regards to what kind of opponents we can play up against, as long as it's within a certain ranking criteria. Now, players are in the process of getting ready with their draft. In fact, it looks like they've already jumped the gun and got things started here. So we are going to hop in basically midway through this draft, as we do have, of course, Saints on the left side. We have Murk Tempest. And of course, you had pointed something out, actually, looking at some of the OPGGs for this Murk Tempest squad. You said this is like a team of one tricks. Can you go on about that a little bit?
Yeah, it seemed that they were very heavy on Camille, Kennen in that top lane. They did have some high win rates on Thresh. You know, they had Kindred, Jungle, Talia, Syndra, Orianna in mid lane, but it seems that they weren't opting to go into anything super heavy, as it looked like it was that first pick Olaf for St. Clair, followed by an Alistair, and a Nivea picked up. So
Frez gets to play Nivea.
Yeah, first game of Nivea for Frez. You don't see that very often, but it's going to be responded by the Rel Udyr and an early pickup on the mid lane in the Victor. So leaving up that AD carry and top lane for both sides there, as the Jinx and Gnar come through, one of Cooper's signature top lane picks.
I know the chat is going to be sad about that one. They were already asking prior to us even getting into the action here today, would we see some Gnar action? And no, at least not in game one anyway. It's the Murk Tempest going to ban that one away. And Shen going to be the final ban on the side of Murk.
Yeah, and Jinx coming through on the ban from St. Clair, one of the ADCs that's been picking up some speed recently, as she's gotten some buffs over the last little while, and the IMs just feel really good on her, as she can just pop off really hard, any kill or assist or any objective taken. So a good ban, followed by the Aphelios getting rid of anything that they might want to throw down there. And from the looks of it, for Murk Tempest, they did have an AC who played the majority of everything in that bot lane, just whatever was good in the meta or something, and looking like a Vayne potentially. It wouldn't be a bad game, but they're going to opt for the Gragas flex in that top and support, or Gragas top actually, because they've already locked in everything. So just going to be Gragas in the top lane for the side of Murk Tempest. So let's see what Saints want to respond to. It could be something like the Renekton coming out. It's often a common matchup in that top lane. The Saints might just take the Vayne for themselves, and they will.
Sure enough.
It'll be Lazi on that Vayne down the bot lane, giving Cooper some more time to think through what he wants to go into this Gragas with.
And it's interesting that they left the AD carry pick towards the very end for the side of Murk anyway. It's interesting because he was the one team, or the one player you actually mentioned. It's like, this is the only guy who's like plays strictly meta. So he's not strictly one or two tricking things like the rest of his squad. It's going to be the Mordekaiser actually to finish off this St. Clair lineup. So we just still have the one more on the side of Murk Tempest. Who are we going to see for their AD carry? Quite a few bans off of it. It's going to be an odd one, I think.
Yeah, it could be something like a Tristana coming out. She's been picking up some heat. You know, it could be anything that can give some impact and utility in this bot lane that pairs well with Rel. You know, Ashe is going to be it, which
you mentioned
is
utility.
something that's, yeah, it is utility. It does stack that. You have the Rel that can go in on top of it and bring that the CC train onto Lazi. You know, it seems they picked this. It's kind of like a counter pick into the Vayne to keep her locked down. Once you have her in spy, just stack every single piece you have under her, and she can't do anything in a team fight. So it's a good counter pick from the side of Murk Tempest there. In the lane, I do believe Vayne will have some bit of a punch into her when she hits those early levels, but Ashe does outrange her with the Rel engage as well in the early levels. So it's something to be afraid of in that bot lane, but the early Alistar pickup as a counter to Rel keeps the lane a bit stable.
And looking at the rest of the St. Clair squad, though, I'm actually a little bit nervous on the side of, or for the side of Murk, considering Saints basically have the kind of composition that they would absolutely love to have day in and day out. You have Cooper on a somewhat aggressive tank. You gave Freza Nivea. You gave Active Force Olaf. Even though the Olaf may not necessarily be as strong as it used to be, it's still one of those very strong Active Force champions. And then, of course, Lazi's going to be on a hyper carry. It's just absolutely perfect here. Miasfo on a roaming engager. This is going to be basically textbook St. Clair Saints.
Yeah, it's a very St. Clair comp coming out. You know, they did take away most of the ADCs with that Aphelios and Jinx ban along with the Kaisa, so kind of limiting the cooldown, but into a pretty tanky team. You know, if Gragas does opt to go for the Chem tank or Sunfire in that top lane, you have the Udyr is just gonna build complete tank and be unstoppable in that jungle. If he gets ahead, you gotta have some type of damage to come through, and that Vayne pick is gonna be in there. And if they can get this Vayne and Olaf behind, it's easily able for Murk to come up ahead in this this game. But right now it's looking, if you look at these two, you're really looking at St. Clair as the team that will come up overhead in that late game.
Yeah, we're going to switch on over to the client draft just to make sure that nobody does any sort of funny business in regards to who's playing what in which lane. This also does give us the briefest of opportunities here to introduce the squad here on Murk Tempest. Of course, from the top down, we have Shaden. Then we have in the jungle, we have Towdog. We have Adlam in the mid lane. I think that's how you pronounce that. Feel free to yell at me in the chat if I got it wrong. Playing the Victor in the mid lane. We have Spinning Axis, who's unfortunately not playing Draven in game number 1 here on AD carry. And Blazing Cake going to be the support on the side of Murk Tempest.
Yeah, it doesn't look like anything's going to be out of the ordinary. It's not going to be Victor going top or Gragas going anywhere else, but a fairly bold draft coming out in this first game from both sides. You look at any game in the last 5 series that St. Clair's played, anytime Anivia is available, it usually goes in the favor of St. Clair, as even if he's behind, either Lazi or Kubra or Active Force managed to help him in that spot that he's in and get him ahead. So something to be aware of, and if they can leave it up, they're kind of giving a signal that, hey, we actually can we can put some pressure on this and we know how to beat it. So it may be like a strategy that Murk Tempest is coming up with.
Absolutely. Now, of course, going to be clocking down pretty much exactly what we're kind of expecting. Neither team's really geek much in terms of flexibility for this squad. One thing that is going to, of course, make me nervous on the side of Murk Tempest, I'll go over it in just the briefest of seconds here actually, is the fact that, like, time and time again, I always say for like the Saints to get to their to find their win condition of sorts, they need somebody more than just Lazi to be a threat. And with the way this team is set up right now for St. Clair, like, I keep saying it's textbook St. Clair, but I can't stress it enough of how huge that is the fact that, like, if Kubra starts popping off early, he'll be a monster. If an Active Force on the Olaf pops off early, he'll be a monster. Frez could be a monster. Lazi, of course, can be a monster. And then Miensvo, I mean, it's going to be a monster in a whole different regard, being able to just constantly tank everything and make these engagements. So, absolutely looking good for the side of St. Clair. That being said, though, there is a good amount of CC on the side of Murk Tempest that can definitely throw things off. Picks can definitely happen. Lots of displacement, lots of stuns. Ash into Rel is going to be brutal. Ash into... or Udyr into Ash, like, just Ash and the Gragas. There's so much stuff that can actually happen to get somebody smoked here from the side of St. Clair that it's not necessarily a surefire thing, which makes things nice and interesting.
It's hard for St. Clair here, because if you misstep once, you're going to instantly be engaged on. You could have a flash W from the rel pulled in, and then you have a Victor gravitational field on top of it. You have that Gragas with the E flash, Ash arrow on top. A lot of single target, but at the same time, they have that AoE from the rel and the Victor, along with that Gragas cast to be able to pull them even further back. So it's going to be a really hard time for St. Clair to get around these team fights if they don't play it properly. They have to be able to play it around these around the engages. They let them engage, then they go in afterwards. Let them use everything. If that's they don't execute that properly, this is going to go very poorly for St. Clair.
I mean, of course, the St. Clair squad coming in off of a hot streak, but quickly throw it on over to what's been going down in the Upsurge minor league as of the last little bit. Of course, they had themselves the perfect season. They started off with a Defiant 2-0, Wichita Wolves 2-0, University of Southern California 2-0. We have more where that came from. We have St. Clair versus the Penguin Brigade. That was the only team all season that took even a game off of St. Clair. And then New Age Esports to finish things off there with the 2-0 as well. So Saints definitely feeling confident, and it's with team compositions, I feel like this, that they're able to make it happen. I obviously want to see a good match among all else here. So Murk Tempest, still have faith. You're in the top 16 for a reason. Want to see us fight hard and give our Saints a run for the money. And to be honest, if you end up turning the tables on you, I know this is the Saints' hometown stream and whatnot, but if it's a good match, I want to see Murk do well at the same time. So,
yeah,
looking forward to that as we're just about to get ready to load on in. Spectator delay is just about done. So while I have a second before we hop into game number one, a couple thank yous before we get started. That being our sponsors, St. Clair College, the Zuckerman School of Business Information Technology, PC Outlet, Tim Hortons, the St. Clair SRC, and the St. Clair College Alumni Association. Thank you for sponsoring us here at the St. Clair Saints varsity esports team. And of course, big thank you to everybody tuning in already here to support the Saints squad. Of course, we have an exciting best of 3 here tonight, and we're just about to get started. Players are loading in. Who wins the skin game? Looks like our Saints win the skin game. Obviously, that doesn't actually mean anything, but funny little thing in itself here. And I don't know. Is there anything else specific before you load on in that you'll be specifically taking a look at, Matt?
I don't think there's anything major that we haven't already pointed out. I think just looking at this loading screen, you have a lot of um a lot of speed on the side of uh Murk Tempest, as you have everyone on the top half running that phase rush. So being able to keep up with St. Clair when they try and disengage is going to be huge. But as well, the Alistair is running phase rush compared to something like a aftershock. So he's going to be very squishy compared to a normal Alistair is. So
Okay.
in those early levels, he's going to be able to just get poked out easily, and his engages are meant to be able to keep up with them rather than to withstand it. So they're looking to quickly burst them down, get the kill, and then get out. But if this doesn't work out, he's going to be really, really squishy before he hits that 6.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So, how long would he have before like he could start feeling comfortable? Is it strictly as soon as he gets his ultimate that he'll stop worrying a little bit, or even going into the late game because of his um not talent selection? Why am I brain farting on the term? But because of what he selected there, the phase rush, is that gonna affect him late game at all?
It can, a lot of the engages has to look around his ulti being up. You can find these picks and everything with them down, but if you're looking for a team fight that's gonna be drawn out, you're gonna want the Alistar ulti up, or he's just gonna get popped like a balloon, in that late game. So in early game, he can get easily poked out, but he also can do the poking if he plays it correctly. So have to see how Mansfield does move around with this Alistar and being able to keep up with that phase rush.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Going to be definitely keeping an eye on that, considering Miensfo is probably going to be one of the main engagers here for the entirety of this game here for St. Clair. So we'll have to see how he can ends up executing on that. But without further ado, everybody can hear it in the background. Game number 1 now underway. St. Clair College versus Murk Tempest in the top 16 of the playoffs here in Upsurge Minor League. Let's get into it. Saying, not sure if it was just me or not, but it looks like some people are on like hyperspeed right here, right now. Different little look to it.
Looking like they may go for a little play here on this bot side, as Victor shows mid, but they have these 4 in the bottom. The Rel's gonna jump over the wall most likely here with her W, but Mansfield does spot them out. But it doesn't look like they're gonna back down, as Spinning Axis does go in, and they have the backup from the Victor in the mid. But as you can see on the top side there, St. Clair is pushing into that top jungle to get some deep vision. It's going to be Frez and Cooper doing that, and they get the ward down between the Raps and Red Buff to spot when Udyr does go there, and they will spot him out right now as he goes across, as he does not have that sweeper, as he just used it on the bot side. So they know where he's starting and can easily track him throughout the early game now. But with that being said, it's going to be a double top start for both junglers, and it's going to be an early or a solo leash here for the Olaf, as Cooper's looking to just do some poke in the tribush when Gragas comes around. So a slower start for the Olaf, but have to see how this is going to go in this top side.
All right, sorry if it looks a little bit choppy there. Had a couple things accidentally run in the background, but I think we should be good to go here. Looks a little bit smoother now. Yeah, that's better. Okay, a little bit of a tit for tat here in the mid lane, and then everybody else gonna get things started pretty much A-okay. In true Saints fashion, nothing really happening at level 1. I hardly ever, other than the very first game of, I think, the first game of Upsurge, did we see anything aggressive at all. Teams are just not really looking for those invades anymore.
Yeah, and not really, you don't ever see anyone really invade anymore, as in maybe getting some low, but here goes that Alistair getting really damaged out here as the Rel engages, but won't burn any summoners, as doesn't have to. He's just gonna walk out there and burn both pots actually for both sides of them, and that level 2 comes through for Murk Tempest. So a good push from them to get this lane pressure going.
Absolutely able to stop any sort of early aggression from St. Clair, but them hitting level 2 first, which is always good. Nice little trade there. Even though Frez is a level down, still able to pack a punch there. One of the many cool things there about Anivia in general. Just the basic combo even just absolutely stings. Now, taking a look down at the bottom side here as we look at our bot or not our bot lane, our top lane, just kind of trading back and forth. We do have both junglers around the bot lane. Could very well look to make a move down there. We have Mansfo. He doesn't ward the river, so at least if the Udyr, if Towel Dog does decide to make a trip down there, it is going to get spotted out. But it does look like nothing is going to end up happening. Just looking to go for maybe, well, not an early dragon. It's still there, a minute and 30 still to go. But maybe looking to make a play before that dragon spawns.
Yeah, and it's going to be, looks like a trade in Scudlers, unless it looks like they actually may meet as the Victor is being pushed in that mid lane, and Udyr wants to go for it, and doesn't really have the pressure, but it looks like he's going for a top gank potentially if Uber isn't careful. Actually, no, he's already back. My mistake. So just going to be a little tussle for the Scuttle Crab in that jungle. But it seems Act Force is going to have to give it away potentially, as he does have the top pressure from Kuber's early back.
Yeah, so no real engagement still in there. 45 seconds on the first dragon if they want to think about that, but of course still super early in the game. Very few junglers can really look to make that play, especially by themselves. No Warwick or anything in this game, not this time. Not really ever in regards to competitive, but overall, let's take a look at some of the early CS numbers here for both teams. Majority of the lanes doing pretty well, or like pretty even rather, than up in the top lane. Right now, it is Kubra who seems to be ahead of things. So we do see Active Force making his way up top. Are they going to look for an early dive? They're thinking about it. Going to give him one extra little chop, then move on their merry way.
Yeah, a bit of a forced gank there from Active Force. Popped that Ghost, and he really wanted to get something out of it, and took a bit of too much damage from that tower, and he wasn't careful. He could have got body slammed, but he had to use it to get away from Active Force in general. And a lot of damage going on to Adlin here from Frez in that Anivia, so you can really see why this pick is banned from, as he just presses W, QE, and just does half your health bar, so...
Yep, just one little combo. Granted, at the same time, though, Adlam almost looks like he's walking into these stuns with how accurate, or with the way he's moving around, rather. And as much as I love seeing Frez look good in regards to landing all of his stuns, landing all of his combos, I think Adlam might need to work on his footwork a little bit going into this lane phase. Maybe just doesn't see Anivia too often, but it's hard to tell. Can't exactly see their match history versus their opponents, unless you actually can. That I'm a bot, but Dragon is now available here. Saints going to be making their way over. At least that's going to be Mansfo looking to maybe get the ward down. One ward already on the Dragon. Blazing Cake thinking about the exact same thing. So objectively, both teams pretty much on the same page. So should be interesting to see where this first win rate goes.
So from the looks of this first back from the Gragas, that it's potentially going to be an AP Gragas, as he bought a Tomb and a Mana Crystal. So you could be seeing something like a Leandri's or a Luden's come out here from him. So it's going to be interesting to see what he opts to go in the end. It may just be an early little AP item buy, but most likely it's going to end up being an AP item in that top lane to match the Mordekaiser.
Right, so if he does end up going for the AP build, of course he's going to be a little bit squishier than your average Gragas. So is he just going to be basically leaving all tank duties to the Udyr? And I guess Blazing Cake as well?
Yeah, it's going to be very... you have to focus on this Udyr being tanky along with Blazing Cake, and they will both have a good amount of armor, as... It's going to be a gauge here, but Active Force is over the wall. Took the blast cone. Oh, he's going to phase rush out there and get back to the safety of his tower. But now you can see St. Clair is pressuring this Udyr on his jungle camp here. Does have a one camp lead over the Olaf, but that's going to most likely get evened out as they steal the big raptor, look like, from him. So good little invade there from St. Clair.
Yeah, so a very quiet game to start this one off. We're already about at the 8-minute mark and no blood has been shed in the slightest, which for a Saints match is definitely a little bit unusual, but that is okay. Nice and cautious game, but now we might start getting into a little bit of the fun stuff here. As Dragon is looks to be started here. Towel Dog is getting started on this Dragon. Will there be any sort of contest from Saints? Frez did go back, so that could hurt. But actually, they're going to make the teleport, Tay. They're going to take the teleport right down to the bot lane. Here comes Frez, going to try and get spinning axes. That'd be a perfect target to get. Going to be the first blood going down to Mienzfo, but this battle is not done just yet. Some massive value coming out of Frez's ultimate. In this case, the Blizzard is doing so much AoE damage. And if they're not done, one more auto attack. Frez is going to finish the job there on the Blazing Cake. How about a nice quick triple to get this game started here? And this should be the Dragon as well.
Yeah, that's just a lot of damage and a good pick from St. Clair there onto Ashe. Finding her in early, you thought she was going to be able to get out there, but Frez's damage coming through in the end, just basically one-shotting him. So a really good response from St. Clair on that Dragon. So good start here for St. Clair as they get that 3-0 and the Dragon on top. That was initially started by Murk, so it's going to be a really good start for St. Clair, gaining just roughly under 2,000.
Yeah, unfortunately there for the side of Murk Tempest, by the time everybody teleported down, Spinning Axes was already down to like half, if not less, was basically dead, could not get anything started. Tried to use that Enchanted Crystal Arrow to kind of fend off the Saints, but sure, you might lock one player down, but you can't lock down any more really than that. Mienzfo is going to come say hello here to Towel Dog, as Active Force is actually right here as well, being chopped down to size, stunned right outside the wall. They're going to flash for it. They are not going to end up doing so. Nice and close, however, really making Towel Dog really frustrated, to say the least. However, nice solo kill, or would be a solo kill, if it wasn't for Fastest Egg. Does he have enough DPS? I don't think so. It's going to be just a bit short. Possible engagement down here as Blazing Cake looks to try and start an engage. Would have had Frez, or actually not Frez, that Mienzfo, but a nice defense here from Mienzfo. He might end up going down trying to keep his 80 carry safe. That is going to be the case. So solid little engage there from Spinning Axes and Blazing Cake to at least answer back one kill down in that bot lane.
Yeah, and that's that early aggression from the duo in the Ashe and Rel, having the ability to have a 20 CS lead almost on Lazi here, and gonna have that level 6 compared to Mienzfo's level 5 from some of the plays he's been making as they haven't been leading their lane. So a good punish for being under leveled and just showing off how squishy he can really be in these engages.
Yeah, that, especially that Enchanted Crystal Arrow there from Spinning Axes landing onto Lazi, making Mienzfo go on full bodyguard mode, as we do see actually an engagement up in this top lane. Are they going to opt for the tower dive? They did some good damage, but opting against it. I'm going to play the safer route at least this time. Maybe look for the Rift Herald instead.
Yeah, they push that Active Force off, and they're going to make Kuber recall. He doesn't have TP, so it's going to be a pretty free Herald, as the Rel does rotate in response as well. So a really good response from the side of Murk Tempest.
Yep, they're going to pick that up nice and quick. Unless Active Force has anything to say about it, he's going to try to make the attempt. Can he burst it down? I can't tell if he got it or not, but he's not going to be able to pick it up. Nope. Towel Dog going to secure that. Frez going to shut the door with that ice wall to prevent anything further happening. A solid attempt there from Active Force, but when you saw the 1v3, you maybe just should have kind of backed off there.
Yeah, he was really wanting to go in on that, hopefully steal it, but as the blue smite came down, you kind of knew it wasn't going in his favor. So 4-on-1 turned into a free kill and a Herald picked up, and basically evening out the gold and putting the side of Murk ahead by 500.
Yeah, so even considering that first initial battle, it's going to be a nice close matchup, which is, of course, like I was saying in the pre-show, it's exactly what I want to see. We're in the top 16. We better have some good fights here as we move forward in this tournament series. Now, in this mid lane, of course, Frez is going to be ahead because of those, or that kill plus 2 assists. But in regards to CS Adlam, even if he is face tanking all those stuns, still ahead in that regard. This bot lane here from St. Clair, sure, you got the 2 assists onto Lazi, but at the same time, Spinning Axes looking very strong. And then taking a look at this top lane, that is going to probably be a sore spot right now on the Murk Tempest side of things. Not only, sure, Agragas has 1 kill, but it's not going to make up to the fact that he has only 60 CS right now, or almost 60 CS. that just straight up sucks right now here for Shaden up in the top lane.
Yeah, and looking at his build now, he is often go for something like an AP item. It looks like he's building into, I believe, which is Luden's. So it's going to be a bursty Gragas, but also a very squishy when he gets top. It's going to be an engage here from Mian, so does burn the flash from the rel, but they're going to be a re-engage. Does pop the ulti, so the cleanse does go off, and they're going to get the TP, and that's about it from the side of Murk Tempest.
Okay, so the Saints do manage to pull out Adlam's teleport, which is going to be extremely valuable as this next dragon gets ready to spawn. So, of course, being in that mid lane, you don't have to travel too far, but you always have to have it in the back of your mind that that dragon could happen at any moment. We do see the engage down bot as well. Finishing blow going to be given over to Lassie as Blazing Kick goes down. Spinning Axis, not too pleased with that, getting a couple of return shots, but nothing to really threaten the Saints as of this moment. And now with that player advantage, make their way open, got themselves an Ocean Drake right around the corner. I'm going to burst this down to half, and they should be a nice easy pickup for Dragon number 2 of the day.
Yeah, it's going to be the second drag going over, and it's going to be a Mountain Soul. So something the side of Murk Tempest wants to get compared to St. Clair, have that tanky engage on the rel on that Udyr, and going to be some deep vision coming in from side St. Clair here, as they did have that good engage on the bot side and burn that TP, and the re-engage from them picked up a kill and a drag. So good, but it's going to be an engage possibly from Mianspo here. Just out of range, barely, put the wall in. A bit of miscommunication there from the side of St. Clair, as Frez wanted to keep going. It's going to be engaged front onto Lassie here as he just gets cleansed out, but is he going to go down? He is going to go down in the end.
Nice.
To the ignite from Blazing Cake, so a good response for that failed gank in the mid lane.
And the bot lane definitely showing up to play here, and even if Lassie was able to dodge that last little bit of damage, they would have had one extra shot. Spinning Axis, Enchanted Crystal Arrow was right around the corner. Could try to snipe them out there, because it may not do the most amount of damage, but it's perfect for those last hit kind of scenarios. You do see a teleport coming out here alongside Shelly. Rift Herald going to come on out to play. Going to take down this turret completely, so no more turret for the Saints bot lane. Here comes out Enchanted Crystal Arrow right on the Frez. The engagement is going to be kind of forced here for Miensfo. Going to go on in. Active Force is up on the top side, but he is getting kind of shredded down a little bit. Adam gets himself one. Active Force cannot outrun the bear. Going to get absolutely his clawed to the face. 2 kills for nothing for the favor of Murk Tempest.
Yeah, really good re-engage there, as they do get the pick onto Mienspo as he's trying to draw time out, but Adeline keeping Active Force on the side there, not allowing him in the fight, and then allowing Towel to come in and just basically one-shot him, as what Udyr does, and putting him even further behind. And looking at Active Force's inventory, it's a very interesting build coming out. He's going for something like a Stride Breaker instead of the normal Gore Drinker that Olaf's usually go. And they keep going for a little trade up in this top lane, as Mienso does show up from that bot lane and has to burn the flash. Cooper follows behind him, and he may be getting out as he gets the passive heal. It's going to be the re-engage coming in from Blazing Cake with the Udyr on top of it. Cooper may be in a bad spot right now, and he goes down in the end. And that's all that's going to be, as Active Force is looking a bit more to keep it up. Keep the slows on to Blazing Cake there, and we'll hit one more.
Another one.
Being a little bit annoying.
There we go.
But in the end, it's going to be the 1 for nothing, and a good play from Shaden to stay just out of range of them, as Cooper didn't have his ulti to finish him off there.
Yeah, right there, like solid job there from Murk Tempest. Just out-communicated, out-maneuvered, and just outplayed that situation against the Saints. Saints thought they were going to turn that one around, and they were going to be the ones in the advantage. Absolutely not. Get taken down. Another kill into the favor of Towel Dog, which that Udyr is going to be absolutely terrifying going into this later portions of the game. And right now, I feel a little bad saying this, but Active Force's Olaf is absolutely ineffective. Normally, we see him try and get some early leads, and with Olaf, I feel like you kind of need those early leads to actually become a factor. The only real saving grace is I feel like with Active Force being maybe a little bit ineffective, I feel like Shaden's Gragas is also kind of being ineffective, so they're kind of like trading 1 for 1 a little bit in that regard. Because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you're in lane and you get yourself a solid lead and you want to abuse it, okay, then you go AP. I feel like you don't go AP right out of the gate, however. So it's a little bit awkward there for Shaden, but he's at least holding his own once across the board and not too far behind now compared to Kubra. So it'll be interesting to see as this game goes on the effectiveness of these champions. Of course, at the end of the day, I'm just the commentator behind the desk and the producer. I'm not the player, so there's always the chance that something comes out that I'm not 100% aware of. One thing, however, coming out of nowhere is going to be that Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Frez is going to be popped to egg form without question. Cooper puts himself in the middle of 4, which is a little bit unfortunate in his regard. That's going to be Spinning Axe is going to finish the job there. There goes Active Force as well. Lazi is stuck between a rock and a hard place, and if there's one character or champion you don't want to be stuck trying to kite, it's going to be Udyr with his speed boost. That being said, though, Lazi's going to at least even this up a little bit to make that a triple. Are we going to see a patented Lazi Penta? It would be quite the tall task, considering it's just him and Miensfo. Going to try and actually fruit up a little bit. They might be able to get something started. Nice little shove there from Miensfo. Lazi going to try and take care of Blazing Cake, try and get the 4th kill here, but the bush is going to make things difficult and does not want to engage through that storm. And he's going to be catching his his work
behind him.
out for him. Here comes Kubra. Can they actually turn this around? Nice shot, though. Adelim going to shut down the big damage coming out here from Lazi. So had a solid run, but is going to end up going down here. Kubra going to find Blazing Cake. This fight is not done even yet, but there is no reinforcements here from the Saints. And then poor Shaden runs in. Hey guys, I'm helping. Doesn't even get an assist. The extended fight once again going to fight Sinclair a little bit, but with the efforts of Miensfo, Lazi, and the rest that were in the later portions of that engage, they at least keep it closer than what it was going to be.
Yeah, it was a really good engage from Murk Tempest there, as they found the pick onto Frez. But as I say this, it's going to be engaged onto Spinning Axe, as he does get taken down by Active Force, but it's going to be the trade coming through as the Unstoppable comes through for Adelim. 5-0-1 on this Victor, and having a really good game after taking a lot of poke in that mid lane, but he is keeping up in that gold and maybe behind CS, but made up for it in kills.
Yeah, absolutely. 5 kills right now. This Victor is going to be absolutely devastating moving forward here, which is going to be extremely rough, specifically for Frez and Lazi, because the one thing that we were worried about with this Murk Tempest composition is that picks are going to be huge. They have so much single target damage or CC that they can easily pick somebody off, especially if they're squishy. So yeah, okay, Lazi's now 4-2-2. Is he quite a strong Vayne right now? Absolutely. But can he survive like 3 people diving him and putting as much damage as possible onto him? I don't think so. But little 2v1s like this, he will absolutely eat up for days. That's going to be kill number 5 here for Lazi. Add another one onto the board for him. So Baron on the board. Are Saints going to think about it? It might be a bit early, but we'll have to see. But Lazi keeping Saints in the game right now.
Yeah, and it's going to be... Looks like they're starting a Baron now, as they are getting spotted out, and Frez is taking it back here, so he does have TP, but they're going to have to pull off, as they do take a lot of damage with Miensfo being basically just 1 HP.
Yeah, at that point there, Spinning Axes could have just launched an arrow and probably with the Udyr with them just smoked them. Funny that launch an arrow, sure enough the arrow gets shot, but Frez not going to get smoked by that one. It would have been really rough if he teleported in instantly into an arrow stun and just get popped like nobody's business.
Yeah, and just barely missing that arrow onto Frez in the mid lane. Would have most likely been a kill there, as he had the Udyr and Rel behind him. But it's going to be a pick. The nice cancel on the Blazing Cake there, as he's going to get engaged on by everyone. Just perma stuck on spot as the wall cancels him mid transformation. So a good pick, as they do look to turn back towards Baron in a 4v5 with Cooper on the bot lane. Does not have TP, so it will just be a 4v4 in this top side. They don't have the Ragnarok on Olaf, so if he gets any form of CC done onto him, he's going to die instantly.
Yeah, well, here we
Already down.
And this could be a little bit interesting. Kubra about halfway to this fight. Mansfield is going to try and keep everybody shoved away as much as possible. That being said, though, the engage there from Mansfield was right on target. But can they keep Lassie alive? Absolutely not. Adela, we knew he would be a threat, and he absolutely pops Lassie like it's nobody's business. Absolute worst case scenario, they kept the Baron going, and they steal this from the Saints. This is going to be a 4-0 plus a Baron for the side of Murk Tempest. Absolutely nightmare situation for St. Clair.
Such a good play from the side of Murk Tempest there. Getting the Baron steal and coming out on top with 4 kills. And Kubra stuck in that bot lane. He's going to get arrowed from below as he takes the tower into the Night Realm. But he's actually going to go down because of the tower and the shield from Cooper being able to finish him off on top. But it's going to be mid tower going down as Cooper picks off a bounty there. So really good play on the side of Murk overall, though.
Small victories here for St. Clair as they try to get themselves back into this game. I mean, we've seen them come back from crazier deficits than this, but it's definitely a rough start, to say the least, here for this these Upsurge playoffs here. As the last little bit, Murk has been doing exactly that, murking the Saints in basically every single team fight, every single objective since like the 10-minute mark. So Saints have to get ready. Within the next 40 seconds there will be another dragon, and I guess that's one of the things that they can look for a possible win condition, of course, getting, say, the Mountain Dragon Soul. But they'd have to get themselves this third one right here, right now. Otherwise, Murk Tempest is going to tie this one up, and it's basically going to put this game onto a standstill, which if they want to then get the soul, then it's probably going to take until like at least the 40-minute mark, 45-minute mark. And they'd have to hope to survive that long. TP coming in. Here we go.
Yeah, here comes the engage from St. Clair. They do burn Cooper's TP as they're really looking here. Both chem tanks are down on. Actually, no, chem tank just came out for the Udyr as Mansfield does burn his own. But the Drake being up, this will be soul point if St. Clair managed to get it. They know where the Gragas is, but they don't have complete vision of him as there's no war. St. Clair is doing this drag now. It's down to about 3,000 HP. Miansfo's going in with the ult. He messes up his combo, and he's going to have to come on. St. Clair does get the drag on top. Miansfo goes back in, finds the 2 knockup, but there's no one to follow up as the arrow finds Kubra on top of it, takes him in the Delph realm. It's going to be engaged from Blazing Cake on the bottom side as Blasi does kite him out. The Ragnarok pop, but the flash from Adelin's going to find Blasi and Active Force as Kubra is being run down on his top side and might find himself more, but it's going to be the 1v1 from Adelin and Frez in the spot lane as Shaden does come around with the Everfrost, but Frez goes into the stasis and comes out to a Q as Kubra does find himself in the wrong side of the jungle on that top side. We'll be able to get the back off unless it's going to be stopped. Does get spotted out.
Oh, he just
stopped
go for it.
Yeah, he's getting stopped as Miansfo's the only one at base right now for another 7 seconds. He does get found again. Towel just barely surviving that, and Cooper is just getting his time wasted as they get it in him in mid lane.
I mean,
actually couldn't be able to finish it off.
Towel Dog did exactly what he needed there. Just slow down Kubra as much as possible. You can tell Kubra was nervous. Thought he had enough damage to burst down Towel Dog if he showed up, but was just short on both occasions. That does allow for the first inhibitor turret to go down, but the inhibitor itself is still alive. So not a ton of pressure still on the Saints at this moment. They were able to get that dragon, so they are on soul point. Active Force was able to burst it down with the rest of the Saints. Right before that engagement happened, it did basically cost Miansfo's life, however, going into that game, or into that fight, rather. So, another 3 minutes or so, or just over 3 minutes before Saints could possibly pick up that soul. But at the same time, there is so much damage. Obviously, with almost 10k gold ahead in regards to Murk Tempest, they probably want to fight right here, right now. Shut this game down nice and quick. Or if it's a fight that's maybe a little bit close, just get the inhibitor and get ready for the Baron, because there's going to be so much on the table within this next couple minutes.
Yeah, and with the Baron coming up in about 90 seconds, this really is going to be the decider. for the entire game. As
Oh.
he did, Lathing does get caught out here and just gets completely shredded. The Lazi pick up with the E there finds their main engage, and for the next 30 seconds, it's going to be a St. Clair push straight down mid as they're forcing Adalem to respond.
I mean, if they're going to try and somehow engage this player down, they're going to have to rely on Spinning Axe's arrow. Going to have to keep an eye on it, but it's not going to come out here. Solid job for the Saints to get themselves 2 towers. I got to watch out, though. Lastly, it was a little bit split from the team. I was scared. I just see an arrow flying off the right-hand side of the screen in my mind. But no, that is just a bird, whatever you want to call Ash's E. So they're going to be safe as of this moment. But 2 minutes for the Dragon, 45 seconds for the Baron. Sure, Saints get a couple towers, get themselves a little bit more gold. They need to back up, buy up whatever they can right here, right now, because this next fight is probably going to make or break it.
Yeah, this next fight is going to determine it. If St. Clair do get it, they can hang on for that Mountain Soul that's going to be coming around in the next 100 seconds. As Act Force does get spotted here, the Udyr running up to him, but just going for a low ward clear as the Vayne is on the bot side. Their main engage from Mianspro may get caught out here. Does have the blast going out there and will be able to safely, but it's going to be one way in for Active Force gone now, as they do have Adam on the bot side, still pushing, but has that TP, but it's looking like he's going to back off now, getting prepared for this fight. They know it's going to be huge, so the side of Murk is going to be ready.
And never mind Rammus. I swear Udyr must be the Sonic the Hedgehog of this game, because he pops that even without the chem tank, he just runs so quickly. Which I guess if you're a character that's all about auto attack modifiers and running at people, then it might as well be the case. Ooh. But I got a shot for a second. Shaden got jumped on, but that being said, the Saints are kind of split. Bit of an awkward spot here. Taladog going to take a little bit of damage alongside Kubra, but Shaden does get caught out. Big damage. X-Force is going to clean this up alongside the Blizzard from Frez. Actually, that's going to be the shutdown to Frez. So basically, best case scenario here for a Saints engage. They're going to turn on to this Baron. 4v5 in the favor of St. Clair. Let's see if they can hang on to this Baron, however. Last time they tried this, they got it stolen. Let's see if they can hang on just a little bit longer. They are going to get it, but it's actually off the Blizzard from Frez. Not even the Smite from Active Force. It's still active, so again, Active Force kind of playing with our hearts a little bit, but solid job there for Saints. Get the Baron. Are they going to try an additional engage, however? There's still, of course, the counter engage potential if the Saints split up with that arrow, always looking for that Ash arrow. And to be honest, there's a lot of little members.
Yeah, and every member on the side of Murk Tempest has their ulti, as there's going to be a re-engage, as Adalem does try and find it, but the huge play finds Lazi, and he's going to go down. Mianspro is the next one to follow, and it's going to be Active Force getting shredded as well, but Spinning Axe turns on the Kubra. It's going to be a triple kill for him, just double actually, but he's going to find the next one, and he's going to find all four.
That's a penna.
It's going to be a quadra kill coming out for Spinning Axes, finding the ace.
I thought that was a penna. You're right. You got the call right. That was definitely a quadra, but holy smokes. Spinning Axes comes in clutch for the squad. Beautifully done. This is going to be for sure the inhibitor, if not more.
Yeah, and they don't have the TP as Adalem used it to get into the fight, but it's going to be an inhib, like you said, for this mid lane, but such a huge play coming in from Spinning Axes to find that, and it's all started off by Adalem just chunking out Kubra, but crucially, in that fight where Shaden did get picked off, they did not burn a single ulti on the side of Murk Tempest. Only they burned the Gragas ulti. So St. Clair had no ultis to respond to it, and it was their engage at the start as well. So a really big misplay from St. Clair, but it's going to be the drag going over the Murk Tempest, stalling this soul.
I'm so surprised that the Saints continued to push forward like that when they were like 3 of the members left on the squad had less than like half of their HP. That being said, now we have ourselves another possible engage here. Shaden might not be very long for this world, but at the same time, Frez might get picked off, sure enough. Going to absolutely nuke him down like it's nobody's business. Adalem showing why he's so far ahead here in that lane in this game, and then here comes Spinning Axes to finish the job here against Active Force. Huge arrow coming out here from Spinning Axes as well. Did tank Lazi. Mianspro was just going to sack himself to try and keep Lazi in this game. Kubra going to take Taladog to the Shadow Realm real quick to try and let Lazi get out of dodge. He is being kind of chased down though. Hot pursuit onto Lazi. Hot pursuit on the Kubra. The Saints are falling. Extended engages are the absolute bane of the Saints right here, right now. I'm talking about like they had their textbook team composition. Unfortunately, as of right now, we've seen it in OPSE as well. Overextended, pushed, and forced engages might be kind of textbook for the Saints as well at this point.
Yeah, and they just, it looks like it may just be game as Lazzie's not even in base, just on that red buff down bot lane, but we'll be coming back as everyone's spawning in. Cooper won't be here with TP or anything for another 20 seconds, but it's just going to be the inhib going down that top lane, so 2 out of the 3 as they probably will rotate to the bot lane to look for something in the next, 3 minutes.
Definitely unfortunate here for St. Clair. 2 inhibitors down. I don't care how well fed you are as a Vayne or as an Anivia. It's definitely a hard spot to be a part of, but at the same time, talking about fed, look at this Victor. Look at this Ashe. 10 kills, 11 assists for both of them. Adlim's only gone down once, and then Spinning Axis hasn't gone down since like the 15-minute mark. So these are absolutely terrifying carries to try and deal with, and you're going to have to try and get them while dealing with a Gragas that can just like send you pretty much to the moon. You have Udyr, who's going to be right up in your grill like it's nobody's business, and then Blazing Cake's just going to gobble everybody up to make Adlam's life even easier. This is terrifying for the Saints.
Yeah, this is going to be a really steep hill for St. Clair to climb as they're down just under 10,000 gold along with 12 kills, so they really need to keep Lazzie alive as he just keeps getting picked up every single fight. They find that arrow onto him, they find that rel engage, and it's just so good for the side of Murk Tempest.
Yeah, Tempest just basically, they didn't win it necessarily in draft, but at this point, what is Lazzie supposed to do? Even if he was 11-1-1 or something like that, like stupid fed like the rest of the carries on Murk, what are you supposed to do? You're going to have Udyr in your face without question. You're going to, like I was saying before, how do you get to the carries? I don't think you really can. And it's a little bit unfortunate because the style that St. Clair is playing right here is the fact that like multiple members can be threats. But I constantly say, like, don't put all your eggs in Lazzie's basket. This might have been one of the few times where I wish it kind of was. But he can't do anything.
Yeah, and this is going to be a really dire situation for St. Clair now as all 3 inhibs are down. They may find Blazing. No,
Nice
he
job.
will get over the wall this time, so good engage there, or disengage there, my mistake, but it's going to be that Baron coming up in 30 seconds along with Dragon 20, so this is really going to be the do or die for St. Clair now.
Which one do the Saints want to prioritize here? Do they want to get the Baron or do they want to try and get the Dragon? And to be honest, I like what side of Murk is doing. They can probably, like, without question, survive if Saints get Baron. But they want to deny this Dragon buff. So without question, going to burst this down first. They could probably get it done so quickly, considering the amount of damage their team does. Put them on soul point now. So an extra little added win condition if they so do choose to use it. And then they have a lot of movement speed. They have a lot of long-range engage. They can get to this
They're
Baron.
staying on it.
It is
Yeah, they're staying on
underway.
it, but they don't have any way to get into it as the inhib does spawn in. Baron will go with St. Clair as they just get drawed out by the wall as Blazing Cake is in the death realm, but just will get one-shotted when he comes out. Just huge stuff coming out. There is the cast does come through and does not find it, but Frez gets just barely out of that, and the wall will come through once again.
Udyr, though.
But Udyr on the side will find it. The smite comes down the hourglass as well, but he's just gonna sprint around him, not find anything, and Akbarth will pop the Ragnarok as Frez does go in, but it's gonna be the re-engage from Blazing Cake. He does find everything, and it's gonna be Lazzie finding him, but Ashe finds the Olaf on the side. It's gonna be a trade, but not much gonna come out as Lazzie does get on, does have the GA. But it's gonna be double kill coming through.
Good
for
damage.
the Ashe finds the next one. Lazzie goes into the GA. And he's just going to get stuck on by the Udyr, and this will most likely be Lazzie going down. Triple kill coming through for the side of Murk Tempest, as this will be the end of the game for St. Clair, going down to be 1-0 for Murk Tempest.
There becomes a point where Ashe then becomes way more than just a utility AD carry. When you're 14 kills up And in the late game, I think this is now that time. Crits for days is probably, never mind, not going to quite go down. But Murk Tempest, nicely done. They're going to take game number 1 here off of our St. Clair squad to start things off. And this is kind of nerve-wracking considering that this tournament is best of 3, of course, and single elimination from what I understand, which means now Saints have to play with the extra added pressure, knowing that next loss is it. You went the entire season without dropping a series, and you're gonna, the first playoff game you get to compete against, you're gonna drop it. I'm sure that's gonna be like kind of stuck in their mind a little bit, like kind of messing with them a bit, thinking that they're that they're that good. And I mean, they've played in other leagues, of course, and I've lost in other leagues, but I guess just that extra little added pressure of knowing that you're on an undefeated streak can sometimes mess with you. And I really hope they go into this pick and ban phase for the next matchup and really like see what Murk put in front of them here. How do you get to that Ashe? How do you get to the Victor? How do you survive the laning phase? And do you just straight up ban Udyr? I personally kind of think so.
Yeah, and I think this is the first time they've really let Udyr through. They never really let him through that banning phase, or if he does, they just never in the end have Udyr available. So it was really weird to see him go through, and it seemed that St. Clair was confident they could get through it. But Murk Tempest knew their win condition, were able to get around everything, and in the end were able to come out on top with those massive plays.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. Very well done there from the side of Murk. Especially, like, right off the start, too. They were looking kind of, low-key, kind of weak to start things off, but that very well just might have been the composition at work. And in a sense, yes, Saints had a good teleport play nice and early down in that bot lane, finding themselves 3 kills. Got a couple early dragons. But eventually, Murk just turned it right around, and it was, like, good to see for competition-wise. Obviously not too good for the Saints side of things, but going into game number 2, I know we kind of mentioned the Udyr and whatnot, but is there any other things specifically that you, like from, say, the coaches or the player's point of view, would want to change going into this next pick and ban?
I don't really think there's much you have to ban for St. Clair. Other than the Udyr, that was really the biggest thing. He set up everyone else. I don't think the Anivia was the best into the Victor. I think it was a good counter pick from Murk Tempest to get it to get ahead in that mid lane, as I believe he went like 10 or 12 that kills that game. So
he was in double digits,
easily able
sure.
to get ahead. Yeah, he was easily able to get ahead, and Nivea wasn't afraid of them. So that Nivea ban won't most likely come through. And if St. Clair wants to find something, they have to be able to get some more utility at mid lane. That's maybe not on the Nivea, but
So do we put Active Force on a purely like hard engaged tank? Just strictly stick to a tank? Or do we kind of let him then try to have one of these carry junglers again, which game 1, even prior to the mid lane and bot lane kind of running away with it, it seems like he just wasn't quite there. You kind of give him his new. Do you try to throw him on like something maybe a little bit more standard for the meta, like say a Skarner or something? Something down that road?
I think you need some more tank. I think the Stride Breaker Olaf was a bit of a little bit an overreach for him, as he wasn't that far ahead. I think the Gore Drinker, when he's in the middle of the fight, would be a lot better. But as you only can say so much as a commentator, is you don't know what's going on in those comms and player situations. So it's really just up to it. But I think you need a bit more of a tank to be able to withstand it and be able to get on a little more engaged, I guess, to find those CC onto them.
Like I was kind of worried for the side of Murk at first, because it felt like, okay, you're relying on the Rel, you're relying on the Udyr to be your tank specifically. Like, are they going to be tanky enough to engage? But then, who cares if they're tanky enough to engage? You have an Ashe. She can do it for you and just follow up after the fact and just don't get blown up, I guess, as you're going in afterwards. But like that big problem that I was thinking of as the game was going on, that Ashe just absolutely covered it. So solid job there from Murk, just playing that composition exactly to where they wanted to. They're good to go, actually. Game number 2 is actually going to be right around the way. We might not have to take a break going in between games here, even though some water definitely does sound. Oh, I got some water here. Okay, we're good. We'll hop in a second here. Just, okay, yeah, they're asking me if are. So yeah, we're going to hop into the pro draft in just, excuse me, in just a moment here, of course. Saints looking to keep their season alive, of course, with this best of 3 being single elimination. So we'll have to see what happens going forward. I'm sure right now this Murk Tempest squad absolutely feeling on top of the moon. I would say feeling like Cloud9, but that usually means they missed an objective somewhere. Now, then, Saints, unfortunately, like seeing them play over the past little bit as we do hop into this pick and ban phase, they are so momentum heavy, it's not even funny. So it does make me worried a little bit as we hop on in. So Thresh is going to be the first ban, which is a little bit interesting. This must be specifically against the support player, specifically against Blazing Cake. And Seraphine, pretty standard, just solid overall. Murk doesn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, it's looking pretty basic to last game. You had the Camille Thresh in the first phase. You had that Seraphine. Followed up, mostly is going to be a Kaisa along with it. There it is, the Kaisa ban coming through. If St. Clair is going to stick to it, it's most likely going to be something like a Talia unless they want to let it through this time. But taking a bit to ban this. This may not be the Kaisa in the end. It will be, actually. It will pick it, but got to see what St. Clair will want to do, unless they want to take that Udyr, as they do have blue side, so they have that first pick and they can opt to ban the Talia and take Udyr themselves, as they do play it. But if they don't want to go for it, they will have to.
I would definitely be disappointed if they didn't do something like that. If they don't want to play it, ban it right here, because it was just too much of an effect. Okay, good. They didn't want to do it. Going to take it off during the ban phase, and it was something I was going to bring up. Sure, you like targeting people's one tricks, but what about just ignoring the one trick, so to speak? Like maybe leave one open to get something that's heavily meta off the board. And glad to see that they're taking the Udyr off. And once again, for the second game in a row, if Active Force is going to play a tank, it cannot be Nunu. Banned away once again.
Yeah, and they did opt to ban that Udyr, so good on St. Clair for doing that. They'll have to see what they want to first pick here. They did opt to go for that Olaf last time in first pick, so we'll have to see what they want in regards to picking. I could see something like an early jungle.
They're going to do it again.
Olaf coming through. It's going to be the Olaf coming through again. Very questionable. But they don't want to change up anything.
I mean, if execution and strategy was the error, then in theory, try again. But I would hate to see this Olaf get shut down twice in a row, even though I know it is an Active Force favorite. Rel going to be picked up. It looks like Blazing Cake did exactly what he needed to do in that last game, was exactly everywhere, and constantly that extra little bit of annoyance and that little thorn, or rather the lance in the side of the Saints time and time again. Lilia looking like the jungle pick here, considering that Udyr is gone. Another one of those standard meta picks that's just solid overall.
Yeah, and it seems that they just think that Udyr is the problem into this Olaf, so they're gonna offer it, and then they're gonna go for the Rel Lilia. So same picks again, except for that Udyr being banned, so it's gonna be the Lilia coming in. So opting to maybe give some more agency in that top lane to opt out of an AP top, go maybe for tankier style.
Very possible. Let's see. Saints, of course, have to pick their next two right here, right now. Anivia's still on the board. Gonna let Frez have it once again. I mean, was doing fine early. Just unfortunately, the snowballing from the Udyr and from the rest of the Murk squad really made things difficult for the Saints. Like probably around that 8 to 10 minute mark. Let's see what their next pick ends up being here. I'm kind of hoping, like, with the Udyr gone, I guess something like the Vayne would be a little bit safer. And I do like seeing the Leona come out again. I feel like Leona and Alistair kind of interchangeable. Obviously, they each have their own things that they're a little bit stronger with, but seeing Miensfo on Leona does make me happy. One thing that does make me a little sad, however, on the contrary, Victor looks like he's coming out to play again here for Adlam.
Yeah, you had that. You have the early pick of Nivea, and it's going to be countered instantly by that Victor. It's always going to happen, as they had such a good time on it last game. It really didn't seem like he was struggling past that level 3. He had the early poke on the Nivea, the Nivea had the early poke on the Victor with that EQ stun. But changing it up with a little more engaged that's reliable, like the Leona, to find them, get that backline, it's not going to be countered easily.
Yeah, something that can engage from just a little bit further, definitely going to be helpful. And we're going to see Saints ban the Vayne, oddly enough. So I guess we did see Spinning Axes hover it during the first pick and bans, but then it didn't end up picking it. And it's going to be threatening enough just like that to actually warrant the Vayne ban. So Lassie probably not feeling up to Vayne once again. Was probably feeling similar to what we were talking about, where, like, sure, you're a relatively strong Vayne. How do I hit the proper targets, though? I can't get back there. So something different going to be coming down the pipeline here for Lassie. And then we still have to figure out what Kubra is going to be playing up in the top lane here for the Saints side of things. And then, I guess, yeah, 80 carry and top again on the side of Murk as well. So gonna get to see which these, or what's going to be selected. And the Ashe is actually straight up going to get banned. No long range engage this time.
Yeah, they just have so much taking that off, and I didn't think the Aphelios ban was that good in that first game, to be honest, as you don't see it much without a Thresh beside it. And they early picked the Rel to get it so it doesn't get taken or picked or banned away, so a Thresh isn't going to be there to save Aphelios, and leaving that Jinx open, it's just going to be instantly taken. So that's a big pickup for the side of Murk Tempest if they can get her ahead like the Ashe was.
Of course, and Jinx, if it may not be necessarily a Vayne, but still one of the better hyper carries as this game does get later and later on. Just being able to do so much AoE damage on top of having the boosted attack speed as well. Plus that Super Mega Death Rocket, or whatever you want to call it, is a nice little execute ultimate, and this is going to be odd. We're going to see Lassie on Aphelios to enter game number 2.
Yeah, and I guess, that you don't ban it, you take it, and that's the good side of the pick here, is there's not much left in the ADC pool once that is taken in. Sion maybe the pick blind top here, as get a bit more tanky, but they're going to opt for the Ornn, get a bit more engaged. That's more reliable than the Ornn, or the Sion, but a little tease hover here from the side of Murk Tempest with the Ornn as well.
Definitely funny to see if you hover Sion, I take Sion instead. But we'll have to see. Of course, still 10 seconds left. Gragas still on the table if Shaden wants to go back down that route. To be honest, I gave that Gragas a little bit of flack, but it never got to the point where it really made any sort of main difference. And sure enough, though, that Sion got locked in. So we're going to see Ornn versus Sion up in the top lane. See if Cooper can try and find himself a lead, but that even if he does end up finding himself a lead, we've seen in that last game that might not necessarily make the difference moving forward.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see that they actually opted for that Ornn coming through, and usually it's not a matchup you see that often with Ornn in that top lane, or Sion, my mistake, not Ornn. As most of the relevant ones, they bid ban away, Gnar, Shen, Ornn taken away. You don't see much else other than maybe the Gragas or something like that, but solid drafting phase on both sides in the end.
Definitely going to be looking to analyze as best as possible once we get the confirmation where everybody's going. But yeah, the fact that you've got Adlam on Victor once again, I really hope that there's a little bit of focus onto Frez's mid lane, because as of say the past couple of matches over the past couple of leagues, it's been a lot of focus towards bot, a lot of focus towards top, but then Saints usually kind of just leave Frez to just farm up, try not to die, and basically just kind of
Mm.
leave him there. Not very impactful, which is okay because, to be honest, early on, Frez was not doing bad in that lane. He was really pressuring Adelim constantly. He was making him blow his teleport while Frez still had his own. But just a couple team fights didn't go into the favor of Saints, and it really benefited Adelim, and he was just able to kind of run away with it. So I'm hoping that instead of kind of not rolling the dice, so to speak, but then hoping that the victor doesn't get kills via the team fights that eventually go down, maybe put him behind right off the start as best as you possibly can. I mean, Anivia, solid for locking characters down, especially with a ghosted Olaf on Hot Pursuit, especially if it happens to have level 6 so it doesn't get stunned up. Feel like they could shut Adelim down, but definitely nervous moving forward into game 2.
Yeah, and you really have to see how they are going to change up this mid matchup, possibly, as it's really just the exact same. And if Rez isn't able to get anything out of this, it's just going to get kind of rolled over again by the victor. He's just going to have a really rough time in the end, as they had such a good start in that first game, finding that reverse flank on the bot lane, giving themselves 3 kills. So St. Clair is really going to have to come back with a good answer in this game too, to find a way to keep this series alive.
And looking up at this top lane matchup as well, so of course you can have Kubra on the Ornn versus Shaden on the Scion. Scion, I mean, excuse me. I think for the most part you just build this guy tanky, right? So no matter what, Shaden is going to be an absolute terror to try and deal with, especially just being able to dive in to the middle of a team fight from pretty much anywhere in a lane and still make it there in time. So that ultimate's pretty cool in itself. But then for Kubra, even if he maybe is a little bit behind, at least he can give his team those ornaments, those empowered items, right? So going into late game, maybe a little bit more consistency, regardless of how that lane phase goes. And then lastly on Aphelios, I mean, he's just the jack of all trades, pretty much, right? You want to go long range? Okay, you can go long range. You want to do AoE damage? Go ahead, do AoE damage, as long as you got the proper weapon available. But I'm going to be keeping special eye on, though, spinning axes as well. We've been talking up Adelim, but I also have to hype up the AD carry on the side of Murk Tempest as well. Spinning axes. So many engages were thanks to his arrows in the past, and then I almost thought he had a penta there, but ended up being a quadra. And that was with Ashe, which is supposed to be more utility based. This time it's going to be the Jinx. Sure, you completely remove the engage portion from the kit, because Jinx doesn't have that. However, she definitely makes up for it in damage. So that's going to be terrifying as well. Like, as active force right now, I'd be thinking to myself, where am I even supposed to put my focus? And to me, I'm sorry, Kubra, but you're kind of getting left in the dust here this game, because there's just too much elsewhere that need to be slowed down, that needs to be taken down. Not to mention, if you're going to continue this heavy focus on objective, heavy focus on dragons kind of play style, you kind of need mid and bot lane to be behind anyway. Otherwise, they'll just meet you and go tit for tat with you. So definitely nervous for the side of the Saints, but I'm happy that we have ourselves such a good match here tonight, regardless of what the results end up being. Big thank you, of course, to everybody for tuning in, and good on the Saints for making it this far. Worst case scenario. That being said, though, we want to see them in top 12. We want to see them in top 8. They're not done just yet, but they're going to have to work for it. Looking forward to this one.
Yeah, a lot of good points you made about their comp in general. As in that top lane, Scion does have infinite kind of scaling, as he just slowly gains health over the entire duration of the game. So it's going to be a bit of a hard one for them if they let this go too late game. They have to be looking for this early pick to keep the Jinx down, keep that Victor down. Basically, their entire team, they have to keep under that blanket and get ahead slowly. Because if they don't, they're just going to get rolled over again like that first game.
I mean, at least I feel like if you're going up against a Scion, who isn't fed or anything, just kind of hanging neutral, maybe a tiny bit behind. Other than the one knock up, and I think he's got a slow. Is there anything super heavy that he can really do to completely blow a team fight open? I feel like there really isn't. Meanwhile, with the Gragas, okay, whip that barrel and blow everybody aside. I did no damage, but I split up the team fight. That I did my job. Like, I don't think Scion has that effect.
There's not much he can do other than maybe hit the occasional like catch out or something, and maybe a bush Q or something, and knocks everyone up. But it's gonna be that Lilia, that the Rel, the finding those engage, 5-man sleep, or the perfect ulti that Rel is looking for. And as you can see, the Jinx is opting, or you can't see yet, but the Jinx is opting for the cleanse this game rather than heal. So keeping all that stun to a minimum for a little bit.
I mean, very disciplined, good on the Jinx, as much as you probably want to run that heal or run something else. Hell, we've even seen AD carries running teleport not too long ago in past weeks of collegiate and pro play. But without further ado, Saints, now or never, time to get yourselves in gear. Game number 2 up against Murk Tempest, about to get underway right here, right now. Let's get ourselves into the action.
Ooh. It's looking like a 5-man evade here, but Lazi does spot it out before it's too late, and it's going to have to be them backing off in the end.
Yeah, definitely thought about it, but now going to go back to their spots. Places, everybody. Time for the blue buff. Meanwhile, it looked like the Saints maybe were thinking about doing the counter invade up in the top lane if they did commit to that bottom side, but because they did back off, just pop a ward on there, spot where everybody's at. In fact, they will be able to see the Lilia starting on the red side, so some solid intel to start things off here for the Saints side of things.
Yeah, and good on me to find that ward a bit. It was a bit late too from the side from Blazing Cake there, so it's gonna be easily spotted. But they won't know that the ward that the Anivia placed down in that blue or that red jungle there will be there, so they know that Towel Dog is starting on the top side once again. But it's just kind of the same as it was last game, where they get a little invade in bot lane, deep ward on top of it. It's going to be Blazing Cakes walking straight on top of them, but the Jinx keeps Lazi behind, so won't able to dish out too much damage.
And of course, with Aphelios being able to just constantly switch out his weapons, can go to like Caitlyn levels of range if he does get the right weapon involved. I think he might have it right here right now. Might be wrong. Nice little stun though from Yansfo. Some good damage on a spinning axis. However, some decent split damage coming out here from spinning axis and Blazing Cake as well, knocking Saints both down to half. Who's going to get level 2, however? And if it's the Saints, do they still even go in, considering they are down so much health? Mianso does have 2, so does Lazi. They're just going to shove this into the turret and just be irritating to the side of Murk to start things off.
Yeah, this is really good laning phase from Lazi and Mianso early on in this game, keeping them push under their tower this game rather than being pushed under their own. So a really aggressive pick here this time, rather than kind of just getting pushed away the entire game last time with the Ashe and Rel. So this is what you want to see as a St. Clair fan of this bot lane, keeping that Jinx down from doing much and keeping her away from the CS.
Yeah, still keeping on par for the most part here with Lazi, but a little bit lower. As we do see Kubra, gonna make Shaden's life a little bit difficult up here. Nice little trades for himself. Neither of these top laners taking Ignite, of course, gonna be just a double teleport. So this means Shaden's gonna get completely run over, at least off the start here. Cooper doing a strong job up in that top lane, but we do see Burning Cake, or Blazing Cake rather, jumping onto Lazi. The counter engage, however, onto Spinning Axes. Lazi did get zoned up, however. Gonna take a little bit of extra bonus damage. Spinning Axes by a thread, gonna hang on for dear life. Gonna be forced to back away unless they try to bait it. The Lilia is here. Towel Dog coming in hot.
Looking bad.
This is definitely looking rough here. Stunned up. Lassy's going to get taken down in just a moment. That's going to be the Ignite taking the kill there. That's Blazing Cake. Now Manso, he's just going to turn it on the spinning axes. Gets aggressive. Not going to happen. And if anything, the kill goes to spinning axes. Absolutely devastating start. Murk Tempest looking strong.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was a good play to try and continue. So Cooper was taking a lot of damage from the tower there. Snowden may just find him, has to burn both flashes on the side, and Cooper may just get away with the slow there unless Shaden can find the E. Does find it, and he's actually going to continue. Cooper walk back into it, and he's going to get solo killed by Shaden.
And I see what he was trying to do. Active Force was coming in hot, but not long enough, or not quick enough, rather. And by the time he even thinks about doing anything funny under the tower, Shaden is going to get out of dodge. Miansvo right onto the mid lane are going to actually get it, but Miansvo is going to pick up the kill. Adlam is getting shut down, but I guess best case scenario, that didn't go exactly into the mid laner's hands, but here comes Towel Dog again, second time showing himself in the lane. Is this going to be the second time he gets himself a kill? Active Force taking to the bushes. As soon as I see people run into this, I assume the worst, and it's going to be the case. Chop, chop, Towel Dog finishing off the Viking. Active Force goes down.
Yeah, a bit of a question. That's kind of a ping in my mind of
Ping,
why
ping,
Active
ping.
Force is there. Yeah, you're really wondering why Active Force is there. You know, maybe he's expecting Cooper's TP to come in. They're going to tower dive Shaden for the kill, but he just didn't TP and he was walking back the lane, so it may have been a bit of miscommunication.
Definitely rough right now here for St. Clair to start things off, especially since I feel like this composition that Murk Tempest has will outscale them. So them having a lead early is absolutely terrifying. And I don't like saying that when we're only at the 6-minute mark, but Saints definitely need to find something strategically to get themselves back into this game. We're going to see Shaden already has his ultimate, going to try and slow down Kubra for Towel Dog to show up and make the play. Of course, Shaden does have access to some shields on his W, so is going to be able to eat a tower shot, taking minimal damage. But Cooper going to survive A-OK. Lassie just going to keep on shoving this wave in. But Blazing Cake doing a good job setting up the minions here for spinning axes so that all these minions go into turret. Don't really matter. The Jinx can still farm up.
Yeah, and that's going to be Drake going over to St. Clair this time, so really good stuff coming through from them to kind of match what has been lost in that top lane, but just kind of a devastating early game here from St. Clair.
I mean, once again, Frez kind of going just tit for tat here in the mid lane. Adlam, of course, did get kind of jumped on by Miansvo. That's the big highlight there for Miansvo so far in this game. That was a solid roam that he did do early, and it looks like he's trying to do it again. Has Hex Flash, but not his main flash if they do opt to go for it. That's pretty close. They are going to opt for it. Going to just walk up, stun. Yeah, don't bother using the E until, okay, never mind. But that's going to be a solid wall there from Frez, but just leaves enough of a hole for Adlam to get out of dodge. And I was mentioning before, I'm not sure if Game 1 was an execution flaw, but right now, in Game 2, I am seeing a lot of execution flaws.
Yeah, it's just really not good stuff coming from St. Clair. Just so much miscommunication it seems from the side of St. Clair. I don't know if they're kind of stressed underneath the pressure of being knocked out or stuff, but it just seems they're off their game today.
Very well might be the case, or at the same time, though, Murk Tempest just showing us exactly why they're this far in the playoffs. Of course, I'm not doing a very good job of being neutral here today, so to speak. I know this is the hometown stream for the Saints, but at the same time, should try to give some props where props is due. And right now, Murk is doing exactly everything that they need to do. They've been baiting out the Saints constantly. The bot lane had spinning axes get extremely low, baited out a double kill. Top lane, Shaden was extremely low, baited out Kubra, got the kill. Same thing for Active Force, got baited up. So basically 2 double kills based off of baiting everybody. And right now, Murk doing exactly what they need to do. Now in regards to Dragons, sure, Saints picked up the first one, so that's going to be a little victory for themselves here, get themselves a win Drake. Next Dragon going to be around in about 3 minutes or so. And Miansvo not doing a lot of A lot of action down in the bot side of things. Good little engagement. Can he help out Frez to get the finishing blow here? That's actually kind of heartbreaking, to be honest, but still, solid job there for the Saints to secure themselves that kill onto Adlam, put them further and further behind. I never think about that Lance actually doing a ton of damage, but it's going to be the second kill that Miensfo is going to get when it could have gone into the pocket of Frez.
Yeah, it's just they find these good engages, but it's just you know those aftershock pop or even the ignite just coming down, but just wasn't able to find that last hit onto what could have been that extra 3 gold into his pocket.
Yeah, of course, at the end of the day, he still does have at least the assist money for being a part of that kill, but I know when you're min-maxing, you always want to give the kill to the person that you want to be as far ahead as possible. Which in this case, okay, Miensfo, you're going to be an absolute beast. Let's go, Miensfo. Just be the absolute roaming legend. Would be fun to see, but it may not necessarily be strong when it comes to actually doing damage. But we'll have to see, of course. Another minute 30. A couple ultimate, or pretty much everybody has their ultimates now. Miensfo finally has that, what is it, solar flare? Am I going to have to check this? It is a solar flare. This is why you don't second guess your people on cast. You just do it. Anyway, Miensfo going to find Blazing Cake in his jungle. Active Force is here. And then there's going to be the Solar Flare. Barely
nice
going
flash.
to miss Towel Dog as he's forced to flash aside. Blazing Cake going to flash aside. Frez is here as well. Just turn onto one. Towel Dog going to get smashed down here. Frez going to be credited with that kill.
Yeah, you know, it's just you almost can get away, you can taste that freedom, and then you just have a bird right on top of you from a TP from behind. So, bit of a unfortunate one for Towel Dog there. Blazing Cake was looking to go in there, but I don't think had any cooldowns up for his W, so was forced to back out. And it's gonna be the Herald dropped here on the side of St. Clair. Just will get Lazy some plates here. Yeah, it's gonna go to actually all 3 of them, so not any solo plates, but Frez is taking some damage here versus Adelim. And it's going to be a bit of a disengage from all sides now.
And at least until Frez gets his cooldowns back up, because he could basically two-piece combo Adelim at this point. And he is, of course, no kills right now, even on CS, but 2 deaths. And Frez, well, he found himself his first kill down in that bot lane, but he's at least been a part of 2 others. And Anivia already has that chilling frost damage that can be absolutely devastating. That was the ultimate coming out of Lassie, just barely going to go wide. But this should still allow for Dragon to show up here. We do see Miensfo, Lassie, and Frez hovering around it. I think Active Force is currently in progress of taking it down. Hop on over. Sure enough, he's going to be able to take that down momentarily. Uncontested, and similar to last game, Saint's going to go up 2 dragons early.
Yeah, it's going to be the Ocean Dragon this time, as both Cloud and Mountain were taken, so bit of a different one as usual, but just barely missing that Swirl Seed and getting clipped on the exit by the stun. So Frez staying safe there and getting away from any danger that may have ensued from that.
Now, one thing I'm worried about, sure, when these team fights have been happening, Saints have been doing an overall solid job since the a couple minutes ago and whatnot, but what happens when we start getting back into 5-on-5s? Once the Ornn, once the Scion both actually show up to a fight, TP'd in, ready to go, how is that fight going to happen? We may not figure out for another 4 minutes or so when the next dragon shows up, but lots of time for the Saints to still get themselves farmed up as best as possible. Definitely going to be nervous though when it gets to that point.
And have to see how these next 10 minutes go for both sides, and it's gonna be Herald spawning about 2 minutes, so may be a little fight that breaks out then, as Drake was just claimed about a minute ago. It's just gonna go back to farming, as there's a CS lead in every lane except for that mid, where it's basically dead even as Victor and Anivia go for backs and gets the blue buff.
That was a Hex Flash warning shot there coming out of Blazing Cake. Second time. Been a little bit off in regards to that, but just enough to scare the Saints, I suppose. Just keep imagining Blazing Cake jumping in with ult ready, gobbling them all up into like a Super Mega Death Rocket or something like that, but not going to happen, at least not yet. Still have lots of time here for both teams.
Yeah, it's looking a bit risky here, as it is a bit of a ward battle there between Miansfo and Blazing. But in the end, it's just going to be 2 wards placed on both sides and run back to that bot lane to farm it out again.
It's definitely nice once all the teams kind of clean up basically every objective in the game, because either it means they're going to look for a lane for some aggression, or perfect time for a water break, because they're going to just be farming up for a brief moment. But we have actually a lot of action showing up down in this bot lane. Active Force is going to go face first into Towel Dog. That is going to be Towel Dog getting completely popped, but now we were looking for a 5-on-5. This is going to be it. Super Mega Death Rocket does take care of Miansfo, but Active Force is going to get on the board as well. Kubra was zoning so many players off, it wasn't even funny. Shaden nearly going to get caught out a little bit, just enough room in that wall to escape, however. And Saints are going to come out of that one +1, as long as it stays that way. We'll have to see, though. Saints have been known to kind of overextend on their fights. This may be another one of those cases. Active Force down to a quarter HP already. Could be scary. Good wall from Frez.
Yeah, he doesn't have the Ragnarok, so I'd be careful not to get caught by the gravitational field or the ulti from Adelim. Is being put behind this game, not being able to have that little advantage he had in the first game where he had that about 5 kills, no deaths scenario, but the Jinx is getting ahead slowly and silently as she got that Mega Death Rocket pickup on to, I believe it was Miansfo last fight.
And of course, that's the scary part about Jinx too. You get 1 assist or 1 elimination, and all of a sudden, you just go full Sonic, full Udyr mode, just constantly zipping all over the place. So much extra movement speed that you can basically find whoever you want in a team fight, as long as there's not like a big bodyguard in the way, which is definitely one of the issues the Saints personally had in the last time. They, even with the stealth from the Bane ultimate, they can never find the opportunity to jump on to Adelim or jump on the spinning axes. But if you have so much movement speed you don't know what to do with, at some point you're going to run circles around them and you can make the play you want.
Yeah. Now we have Drake spawning in 10 seconds. That Herald is available on the top side, but it's not very much of a priority in these last few seconds. As Miansfo does get by the Swirl Seed, but St. Clair does have that control over the Drag Pit, and the Sion ulti is coming in from above. The wall will stop it, and from the Ornn ulti on top to stop him. The Drake will go over as the Lily is not there, but he's kind of just going to walk into everyone, just get 1 tap. It's going to be the re-engage from St. Clair going straight in onto the Rel. She's just going to hop over that wall as Active Force not able to find anything. And it's just going to be St. Clair burning a flash from Adelim and getting that drag on top.
And now this is a much different story compared to game number 1. We do have Soul Point already in the pocket for Saints, so we're not even 20 minutes yet, compared to what would have been probably 2-1 or 2-2, or it would have been 2-1 at this point, since Murk Tempest did secure it. So Soul Point, they're going to pick themselves up a Herald as well. Going to probably get at least one of these first initial turrets taken down. They're nowhere near as far behind as they were in the last game. At this point, they're maybe 2,000-3,000 gold behind. Now they're within a couple hundred, and it's much better this time by for the Saints. Still behind, but in regards to win condition, I feel like they're actually in the lead. And they're actually going to keep this going here. Blazing Cake's going to get jumped on. It's going to be Miansfo. Hot pursuit. Can he pass one over to Lazi? Not going to be the case. Support carry Miansfo come in and clutch here. But spinning axes just turning this. Lazi was not on the same page with Miansfo in the slightest. And very close, but no cigar this time by. Is the Death Rocket available? They have to be careful. It will be in 1 second, and here is the Lilia. Towel Dog is here. They're going to try and turn this on the spinning axes, but of course, even if you're slowed, there is so much extra bonus movement speed there for spinning axes that he was able to get out of dodge. That being said, though, Towel Dog so low. Nice pickup actually there. Active Force catches spinning axes, staying a little bit longer than expected, takes them down, and now the Saints find themselves with a 2-for-1 profit in that last fight.
Yeah, Spinning Axes does get caught off on that back end. He overstayed his welcome as he thought he could maybe pick off Anivia from afar, but Active Force was there on the backside to get him in. Are maybe looking for an engage here, but not going to find it, and the tower will go down to St. Clair, the first tower of the game.
I was going to say, please don't dive that, but okay, they were just looking for one more auto attack to finish off that bottom turret, so Saints going to find themselves in the lead for what feels like the first time all series, or the first time in a while anyway. So definitely some hope here for the hometown squad. So far, so good for them. The main thing that I'm going to be personally worried about is spinning axes once again. I mean, 4-1, still a fantastic stat line. In the lead in regards to CS as well. At least for Lassie, while he may not have the kills, he does have the assists. So I would say that they're just about even. But at least you also have Frez, who's doing absolutely fantastic, finding his spots and getting involved in a ton of eliminations as well. So it's not going to be all on Lassie's shoulders this time.
Yeah, they have a lot of the kills actually are going into Frez now, so he's able to actually pick it up better than last game at least. You know, I believe he was like 1-2 at this time, and his victor was maybe like 5-0. So, you know, it wasn't his fault, but you know, it's a team game, so you just kind of slowly gain advantages as a team, and will be that happening for St. Clair, as Miansfo's been around this mid lane a lot this game to help Frez get a lead.
And these walls for Frez are just absolutely fantastic as well. While sometimes there may be, of course, a little gap that they can escape. If anything, Frez wants you to go to that gap, because then he can just land a stun there, and guess what? You're still taking a boatload of damage. He's been able to do that, of course, all by himself. He hasn't necessarily needed the help from Active Force. At the same time, though, Miansfo did make his way to mid quite a few times, which allowed Active Force to continue farming up and try to become a threat for himself. And to be honest, he is actually much more of a threat compared to Towel Dog this game. Towel Dog on this Lilia feels basically ineffective, at least as of right now, but of course, that ultimate put everybody to sleep could very well turn a team fight still in its own right, even if Lilia is not the one doing the damage herself, so definitely be something to keep an eye on. If you see Active Force getting face checked by Blazing Cake, going to meet her with an axe. Kubra, that's a stopwatch that's going to be broken, but it is just a stopwatch, not the end of the world. Frez going to lead the charge, possibly finds Blazing Cake for a little bit of extra damage, and now one of the hard engagers on the side of Murk. Going to want to think twice before making a move.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's kind of one of those, you put it on the wrong key and it happens, but it's gonna be drag. Be going over actually. It's gonna be Soul going over to St. Clair.
You ever do it where you're just trying to move it to another hotkey and you activate it anyway?
Yeah, you know, I feel like that may have been the situation that happened, because he was mid walking and then just a little oopsies maybe. And I had done that 3 key something, went to hit 4, went to place a ward, and that's a stopwatch, but
I definitely don't know by experience.
Yeah. In the meantime, it was Ocean Soul picked up by St. Clair, so a 22-minute soul is really good for them as they put themselves ahead in this game by 2,000 gold and look to keep this pressure on to make it a 1-1 series.
I am so surprised that Murk Tempest just let that go to the point where I'm talking about people placing keys and the soul, the big objective, goes by and I don't even notice. Beautifully done there from Saints, just being in such a good position that they can get these objectives for basically free. You see Blazing Cake again getting caught out a little bit, but going to be able to hop away just fine. Now, where do the Saints opt to go next? In regards to objectives, it would just be Towers and Baron right around the corner. I'll have to see.
Yeah. It's pretty even in a lot of the matchups though. Like the may look like St. Clair does have the advantage right now with that 2K 9-7, but in reality, these team fights will be very close. Play it correctly, and from the looks of it, they haven't been the cleanest from the side of Murk, as they've just been kind of subtly getting their Jinx ahead, being 4-1, having roughly about 40 CS up on his lane opponent. But I think St. Clair is just clearing out some wards down there. Well, not doing any risky early barons yet.
I mean, if Lousy does get his the Chakram weapon, kind of seeing it in the background a little bit, the Ninja Star-esque looking things, I mean, that's a lot of DPS. It's a little bit shorter range, but you could burn a Baron with that. That alongside the rest of the Saints there, that can go by nice and quick. So sure, maybe just under 25 minutes, but it could be something they do think about. But do they want to group up and force like an even 5-on-5 team fight? I think they're in a position where they could do it, but it's not going to be as one-sided as I may be thinking.
Yeah, and Felios's best weapons are that Chakram and his flamethrower, as Adelim may find himself in a bad spot, but able just to keep Frez out far and get out, as St. Clair does invade this red jungle away from Towel Dog, keeping him even further behind, but he's not actually that far behind. He's kept up in CS, is the same level as Active Force, even though he's 1-4, so good on him to stay ahead. But
here we go.
St. Clair starting the Baron up, and this will be the make or break for St. Clair. And this has a 2-man sleep possibly, but nothing's gonna happen. He's just gonna look to get a flash steal if he can, as they're keeping him trying as far out of the pit, but they will turn away as the Ornhorn is called. This will be the Ornhorn missing as he gets stunned, and a huge engage from Blazing Cake comes around as the Jinx is in the backline, just hitting his own. Active Force just finds him in the end, and Jinx will not be able to find her resets, just barely. Everyone getting away, 1 HP. Such an unfortunate thing for Spinning Axe, is not finding the crucial reset he needed.
Was right on the fringe, but the golden part of that team fight, at least in my opinion, was the fact that Lassie was able to stay completely safe the entire time. Sat back with the longer range weapon and was just poking away at tanks. Sure, it may not be the damage dealers, but we're able to take down Shade and take down Blazing Cake, make them regret their engage, and now they can go back here on this Baron once again. Adelim, the only one on the side of Murk anywhere near this, and there's no Death Rocket available. Not getting stolen this time. Saint's going to take the Baron while they have Soul. They're going to be absolutely devastating moving forward.
Yeah, 26-minute Baron, 22-minute Soul. St. Clair setting themselves up perfectly for a win here, but nothing's ever over until you get that Elder once this happens, as it's 1 minute and 30 seconds away from happening, and that will be the final fight most likely of the game, as if they do play it right, they will be able to end the game off just an Elder. But with Aphelios having 2 of his strongest weapons now, other than that flamethrower, they have to be careful if he wants to save his weapons for these team fights.
And looking at that last team fight, though, and seeing how well Blazing Cake engaged, seeing all the damage that Adelim put out for like massive AoE, even though he's behind, I can't help but say to myself, imagine if there was a Gragas barrel in there. Do you think that all those Saints that were sitting at half HP might be down to like 1 more shot to the point where the Jinx could go nuts? I kind of feel like it was. The Scion pick, if it was meant to troll the Saints, it's a blessing in disguise, because right now Shaden just not quite finding the impact in this game. At least compared to last game.
You kind of counterpicked yourself with the Scion, because you have the Anivia picked already, and it's just like a straight counter to him. He just plays a wall and he hits it, and that's it. That's just the end of it. But with a Gragas, you know, you can eat through it, you can throw a cast over it and stuff. So I think it may have just been it seems like a kind of a troll pick in my opinion from the side of Murk Tempest, but Mansfo does just kind of face check into Blazing Cake as the TP does come through for Frez, as the Elder is spawning, and they will just instantly start this up as they zone everyone away. Spinning Axe is off to side, have to keep an eye on how he will get into this fight, as Adelim just kind of walking straight into them. Lazi is off to side, they do find the kill onto the entire side of Murkus, everyone just goes down. The one person alive is spinning axes on the side there. And
Kill the zombie!
the Elder going to the side of St. Clair as Scion Zombie does try and come around, but not going to find anything. It's going to be St. Clair putting the nail in the coffin for Murk Tempest.
Okay, I was going to say, if that Scion Zombie walks over and starts pounding away at the dragon, I am going to lose my mind. I am thankful that they were able to take care of that nice and quick, especially since Spinning Axes did not have the rocket available again, so there would have been nothing else possible to stop them from taking that Elder. And basically, Saints, they are loaded up on buffs. They have basically everything they could possibly need. They just need to start taking down some of these towers. Maybe get themselves an inhibitor. Make it so that the pressure isn't just strictly where they are specifically on the mat. And make it so that minions are constantly pounding down one of the inhibitor or one of the Nexus turrets if left unattended. Because we can see, like, Lassie gets to jump onto somebody. He does okay damage still, but it's not like Ashe crit or Caitlyn crit levels of damage. So he's strong, but not that strong. Not yet. So there needs to be something additional, even still, after having all of these buffs. And it looks like Saints are going to just gather up, shove mid to start things off. One turret down. Just a matter of dealing with this inhibitor turret. Some decent damage getting put onto Shaden as well. Good catch for Frez. Just poke away. Try not to get yourselves too low, because you let that Jinx go nuts, she can still do tons of damage.
Yeah, one reset on that Jinx and she's just gonna shred through your entire team, as he's kind of just been in the back lane. You know, he's never really been a threat for St. Clair. He's always just kind of there, and St. Clair just rips through them front to back, and St. Clair will be able to get this inhib finally, as they're just slowly pushing up this mid wave, and they're going to be looking for more, as they're not scared to take a fight with the Elder, but the Elder buff will be wearing off soon, and they have to look for a massive engage. Force does get rooted up. That's pop the Ragnarok as the Ornn ulti comes down. Does find a massive engage. Spinning Axes will go down, and there's going to be St. Clair finding a complete wipe as a 3-man sleep does come through in the end. But it's not going to be much coming through, as the entire side of Murk Tempest does go down, as St. Clair really didn't lose a single person other than Lozzie, and a game freeze.
You know what that means.
Yet. Game's over. St. Clair takes it 1-1.
Here, I will mimic exactly what's gone on. Oh, I love this patch. But Victory! Yeah, so, okay, we do have ourselves a game 3 in a bit of an anticlimactic fashion. Unless something absolutely catastrophically went wrong. Did Adlim just wipe everybody and go take all of Saint's base? No, probably not. But we'll see. I'm low-key. I low-key don't want to do the ultimate commentator's curse, though, so I'm going to quickly just double-check and make sure there's a lobby for the next game. I don't have an invite yet. Okay, no, it did go into St. Clair's favor, it looks like. So, okay. Yeah, okay, so nothing crazy happened. Could you imagine, though?
You know, you pop a purple elixir, just shreds through all the towers at 30 minutes. You know, it happens sometimes.
You just input a code, you become Baron Nashor, and you just wipe the entire base. That would be kind of funny. But taking a look at some of the stat lines here for this game, and okay, there's the lobby invite right there, right then. Spinning Axis, props, you were blazing at that game, my friend. Nicely done. 4 kills, 2 deaths, 0 assists. The perfect scoreline. Then on the side of St. Clair, Frez, perfect game here. If I were a part of a different league's broadcasts and see Frez there going 7-0-7, playing a flawless game, I would say, so how about that Lassie solo carry? But anyway, not going to pour my salt into this cast too much here anyway. But Frez doing a fantastic job that game. Tons of kills, tons of assists. Active Force, much more of a factor this time compared to Game 1. Banning that Udyr, I still think needs to be something. Let him keep going. Kubra, while he may not have necessarily been the one getting the kills himself in those endgame team fights, other than the one by Baron where he got stunned up, just constantly being able to CC the rest of the squad, made it nice and easy for Frez and Lassie to just go in. And we all know Yensfo, support carry, right? Those 3 kills off the start, definitely the big impact there. Looks like we are going to switch sides for this next game here. I don't know about you, but my throat is absolutely parched. We are going to probably take a break in just a second. Just wanted to know if you have any last thoughts here on game number 2, because that was definitely different compared to what we saw last game.
Yeah, I think it may have. I think Murk Tempest may have been playing a bit with their food there. They kind of rolled them over in the first game, and then they kind of, threw them a little bone, saying we're gonna try something, and in the end, it didn't work out. The Scion wasn't that useful compared to the Gragas, and they never let the Lilia get ahead. So in the end, it did not work out in their favor. So I think if they're going to try and come back and play how they did in that first game, it's going to have to be somewhat related to how they drafted.
Honestly, Gragas wasn't banned. Just pick it next time
Mhm.
and stop playing with your food a little bit, and that could have been the difference maker from a Super Mega Death Rocket getting a kill to just leaving them with a sliver of HP. But with
Mhm.
that, we're going to take ourselves a very quick 5-minute break. Let's get some water and then get into the finale here. This Upsurge Minor League playoffs. It's the first game or the first series for us here in the playoffs, and it's an absolute banger. See the conclusion up next. Welcome, Saints Nation, back to game number 3. This is the decider between St. Clair College and Murk Tempest here in the Upsurge Minor League Playoffs. And we already got picks and bans right underway. Udyr insta-ban. Fair enough, but this time the Anivia's gone from Frez. He's going to have to try something different. Solid start here for both of these teams, picking at the pieces that were definitely doing some damage so far in this series.
Yeah, sticking to the same 2 bans, there are actually 3 now, as it's going to be the Kaisa, Anivia, and Nunu coming out, not letting Frez on that Anivia anymore, as they found it's not the best to go into anymore after that last one, because they really need that Udyr to lock down Anivia in the end, so kind of throwing it off to the side and just say get out of here as St. Clair gets rid of that Udyr, Camille, and most likely Thresh, as it's always been there, but they may swap it out, but it's going to be the Thresh there as well. Have to see what Murk Tempest won a first pick. Actually, I didn't even realize they did leave the Seraphine up this time as they're on that first pick rotation, so it's going to be Seraphine going into that flex position.
Yeah, fair enough. Of course, they traded out their bans there with the Anivia, and of course, with them being on that side, gives them the opportunity for that first pick. So, if you don't want to play against it, might as well play it yourself, and that's exactly what we're going to see now for the side of St. Clair. I mean, Olaf wasn't necessarily much of a factor in that first game, but second game was definitely a different story. Gotta pick it up once again. One more pick. Start things off here. Probably going to see support, I would imagine. I could be wrong, however. And of course, the other big problem about seeing an early Seraphine, that doesn't tell you anything about where that Seraphine's actually going. Like, she can flex everywhere except jungle, pretty much, right? But okay,
it's very
there we go.
hard to know where she's going to go, as she could go into that top lane. It's been coming up a bit, not much played in like professional or such, but mid lane support, ADC, all those are on the table right now, but have to see what they want to give away, as Leona is picked up for Mianthva once again.
Support carry.
Ooh, this is one of the picks I've actually was looking at, because he's a very highly played Kindred player. He has a very high win rate on it and is his most played. So
yeah, you said a couple hundred games this season, right?
Yeah, he has a few hundred games on Kindred, with a decently high win rate still, so does actually go through, and they're gonna opt to pick the Vayne up early here, as it's the first time, I believe, all series that they've picked a ADC in the first rotation.
Well, they know Saints tend to ban off that AD carry in the second phase, so right before they have that opportunity, going to pick it away. Not let Lassie have it, but it looks like the spinning axes seems very proficient on the champion. It's going to be a little bit interesting considering the double AD carry comp with Kindred technically being an ADC as well. So Saints are going to get aggro. We got Misfortune.
Yeah, this is one of Coach Zeddy's classic ones he likes to draft, and it's that Misfortune Leona just having so much CC where you can just lock them down on spot and then just have that bullet time on top of it to just basically 100-0 anyone in a team fight or in solo lanes.
And then you mentioned too that top laner, of course, Shaden, if the combo calls for it, he will whip out the Kennen. And I'm actually quite happy to see Saints get rid of this, because last time they went up against the Kennen during the OPSE playoffs, they completely butchered how to play around it. Eventually, the Kennen just got the sneak attack flank on them and just melted the Saints. And it was too bad, because that was definitely a close matchup. So I don't blame them for getting rid of that little Yordle.
Yeah, it's going to be Nara on the other side. No, not one that St. Clair that Murk wants St. Clair to have. So how does what St. Clair want to do as the last one? I believe Murk missed a ban there, because it should have went over to them. No, I'm just not up with things. It's
okay.
Gonna be Syndra coming through. I thought they went back and forth already, but it wasn't.
Now, of course, Adalem, if he wasn't playing Victor, it was Syndra, and I think just for the composition in general, it definitely makes sense to get rid of the Syndra in this case. Imagine if Misfortune's firing off the bullet time and you just get a Scatter the Weak from Syndra from long range to stop your entire ultimate. It's an absolute game changer. And now I like the focus here from Murk Tempest. They know Frez plays a lot of Ziggs. It may not necessarily be a strong meta pick, but you're going to chunk another champion away from him. However, this does scream Orianna to me. I want to see an Orianna here from Frez. And sure enough, being highlighted, lock it in. You have plenty of engage. This could be a devastating combo if you lock it in. There it is.
Yeah, it's very. It was very likely that Orianna was going to be picked up, as two kind of picks that you go along with it are banned off, but Alistair is going to be covered here as a potential, and have to see. They want to opt for that Seraphine to go mid lane after all, and from the looks of things, it may actually be that Seraphine mid lane, as Alistair is locked in, but the Gragas hovered, like we were talking about. It's going to be that Gragas top lane once again.
Looks like he is going to stop playing with this food a little bit there. It's going to be Shaden back on the Gragas, and then, I mean, this is just going to be protect Kindred, protect the Vayne as much as possible, and the fact that Kindred, of course, has that ultimate that prevents death is just so strong. To clarify, to prevents death if you're within a certain area. I should have clarified. So it's not completely like globally broken. You have to be standing on a certain patch of ground in order for it to take effect. And then we have a Cooper Classic here to round up this Saints composition here with the Shen. I think from outsider's perspective here, I think Saints won just off of draft alone. But I could be absolutely wrong if Seraphine lets Kindred and Vayne just go absolutely nuts with huge charms with the big bodyguards of Alistar and Gragas. That could be a game changer. I feel like if Murk switched that Ziggs ban with an Orianna, it'd be all the difference.
Yeah, usually they go for Narshen as the last two bans, so seeing Ziggs taken off, as they were thinking he may go for it. It's one of the play champions he goes as kind of to go along with things just for a stable mid, but opting to ban it out, giving that Shen over to say Clair, and they did pick themselves up the Gragas, which is kind of what we've been asking them for after that last game, as he had a pretty good game for going Everfrost top lane and finding those catches. But overall, I think St. Clair does win that draft, like you were talking about, and if they don't get that Kindred, she's going to be able to save basically her entire team from the doom that Misfortune Leona can bring in a team fight, and then turn it back around onto them with a huge Seraphine ulti.
Yeah, because there's no more helpless feeling than getting caught up in the charm. You might as well just lift your hands off the keyboard and mouse, because you're just going to take a nice slow walk like the song of a siren right to your death. And sure enough, yeah, it is for sure locked in. No crazy mid lane Alistar or something like that. It is going to be Adlin picking up that Seraphine. And then real quick, of course, want to give the shout out to the OPSE Esports Twitch channel for the raid here on the channel. Thank you for bringing your community over. I hope you had yourselves a fantastic broadcast. Yeah, there's just too much combo potential, I feel like, right now with St. Clair, to the point where they're going to absolutely destroy any team fights. That being said, I guess picks are still so good for the side of Murk. It's been a play style that they've been playing game in and game out. Even if they wanted to troll us a little bit with the Scion, it still had the same idea. And to be fair, that last game was still close. Objectively, everything fell apart. But even then, those team fights were still winnable for the side of Murk Tempest. And this is a solid squad. I'm excited to get into Game 3 as soon as possible and see the finale of this.
Yeah, it was, even though they didn't have the outcome of the game they wanted, they lost set Soul at about, what was it, 22 minutes, Baron at 26, and then Elder about 5 minutes later. You know, it just slowly kept progressively getting worse, but they never really out of the game. They just could never find that last tick they needed for Spinning Axis to be able to pop off. So have to try and play around him now that he's on this playmaker like Bane, and play around these Seraphine ultis that Adam's going to be hitting.
It is going to get crazy. Of course, if this is ended up being a single elimination playoff format, then that means both these teams in the hot seat now. The Murk Tempest squad had their one game of extra cushion, but that is all gone. It's all on the line right here, right now. Everybody's playing their best. It seems like everybody has a champion that they are rather comfortable with. We're going to see the best of both of these teams going into this one as we throw it back to us for just another couple of moments as we get ready to load on in. Just a fantastic match right around the corner for us. I am nervous for the players, getting ready to start shaking, even though, of course, I'm not a player myself. Of course, always looking for the hometown squad to find the victory, but at the same time, what I like seeing more is a fantastic matchup in general, and this is looking like it's going to shape up to be one of those fantastic matches. Still looking for a new favorite esports moment for my entire lifetime, considering my old favorite moment has now been avoided from history. That's a whole nother topic, but we're going to completely avoid that for now. But in regards to the compositions, anything about the matchup, is there anything that you've noticed that you want to bring up in regards to something out there, kind of interesting, or something we can expect moving forward here?
You know, I think the team fights are going to be the big thing we have to look for in these these comps. You have the Misfortune Leona, but if you have a good cast that comes out, just disrupt anything that's happening in that backline, could just completely change the team fight. I feel like they're gonna have that Gragas try his best to throw the cast out just to cancel that Misfortune ulti that may come down and force a Kindred ult out early, or just one shot anyone even before it can come out. So these team fights are going to be the situations that decide how these the game outcome will be.
Absolutely. Now, one of these things that actually that the chat kind of brought up here for me is doesn't Olaf just run into the Kindred ult and use it himself? That's very true. Now that I really think about it, of course, that Kindred ultimate, it's not just for the Kindred's team. It works both ways, right? So, in theory, if Saints are all diving in, even if they blow up the Saints constantly, if the Kindred ult is popped, then they're going to take advantage of it as well. So, a little bit of counterplay to think about here. And then taking a look at some of the other comments being made right here, right now, this game is going to definitely be dependent on Orianna Shockwaves. That's definitely going to be a huge factor. I definitely agree with that as well. There's so many little things here, and I do also have thrown up the prediction inside the Saints Gaming CA Twitch chat. Who do you think is going to win this series? I know this is a Saints team or Saints team stream, but at the same time, I know there's always those couple people who like to throw a couple chips into the opposing side's pot just to try and profit if the odds go in their favor. But with a game this close, it's too hard to tell. I know personally, my bet is St. Clair due to the draft. That being said, though, it could be completely different. Are you on the same mindset as me, thinking Saints have this, or do you think that Murk's going to turn this one around?
Yeah, I honestly, it could be. I can't say one side will win or another. It's a very 50-50 in my opinion. I can see how both sides are able to come out on top, if anything. Just looking from the loading screen now, there is a grasp on the Gragas, so it won't be that AP Gragas once again. It will be a tankier version of Gragas as well. The phase rush coming through on the Alistar, so it's going to be the squishy Alistar once again, but less one-shot capability like the Ashe was just poking out. But have to see which side will come ahead in these team fights.
Okay, you gave me the boring esports player answer. How about your actual answer? You gave me the answer that every single esports player ever doing an interview does, and it's boring as hell. Give me the actual answer. Even if it's against me, I don't care.
I'll say it's gonna be I'm gonna say it's gonna be a 20 kill game, St. Clair to 19. I want to say St. Clair takes it 2019.
I'm thinking a relatively even bloodbath, even so. That even like team fights themselves may not be that decisive.
It could go in the other favor, but I feel like it's gonna be a very, very close game. either side is going to take any risky plays at this point.
Gotcha. Now, it looks like somebody had to quickly hit the lube before we get started here, but now finally we are underway. This is it, the decider between St. Clair and Murk Tempest. Let's get into the game.
Now, 30 seconds until minions spawn.
Little bit of action kind of get us started here, but otherwise, okay. Just throwing a couple Oriana drones, balls, whatever you want to call it, throwing them around a little bit of damage, a little bit of scouting, but that's about it. And now, actually, quickly reminds me, because Kindred has himself a little bit of a passive or something, like a bounty system. Do you know, like, how to explain that a little bit better for those at home, also unwilling, or not unwilling, but unknowing commentators?
Yeah, so how Kindred works is that she has kind of a bounty system, or she has marks, what they call them, where she gets a mark on a random jungle camp in the enemy jungle or on scuttle crabs. I believe it's every like minute and a half if she hasn't taken it.
Okay.
And she can also put them on champions. So anytime she gets an assist within 5 seconds or a kill onto the champion, she gains a stack. And after each 4 stack, or I think it's every 4 stack, she gains a bonus 50 range, I want to say.
Ooh.
It's less than Senna's now, but it's
Still noticeable,
roughly
though.
it's between 50 and 100 extra range she gets per 4 stacks.
Okay. Definitely going to be valuable as this game gets on. Of course, further from the fight you can be, the safer that she'll probably end up being. It always throws me off seeing these early jungles here for Active Force, the fact that he's down to like a quarter HP, but no, it's just Olaf farming. He's good. He's got this. No worries there. Who's going to hit level 2 first down here, however? A little bit kind of close to the Murk Tempest tower if Saints were to get 2 first, so probably won't see them get aggressive, and it was the Saints that got 2 first, so it's just going to be a bit of a passive lane, looks like so far here for St. Clair.
Yeah, they do have that shove in, as it's a bit of a more of aggressive lane from St. Clair. Usually, Misfortune Leona always will win that lane, as they have such a high tempo pressure against someone like a Bane and Alistar who can retaliate in on them. This is a bit of a skirmish in this top wave. It's pretty big if you're not careful. Gonna take a lot of damage from this casters, but Huber really shoving in this wave into Shaden.
Yeah, Shen, one of those characters, or one of those champions rather, that I always forget can actually dish out an okay amount of damage early on, at least. Just able to kind of trade out a little bit. Constantly, of course, with energy, no mana, so just can keep firing off those blades, trading as best as possible. Even sometimes I've seen Shen get himself a solo kill here and there, but usually I think of Shen, usually I think of tank and no damage, that his sword is a wet noodle, but so far Cooper proved me wrong a little bit.
Yeah, pretty slow start overall for both sides, as not really much going to be happening throughout the early game. No early ganks, and this is one of the unfortunate 50-50s as Kindred players who get a little bit unlucky on, as her mark can either spawn on the upper side of the scuttle or the lower, and unfortunately was on the side of Active Force, so he won't be able to get the mark on scuttle, but it will be an even trade overall, and basically just a complete line of vision throughout the entirety of that bot river. So
I mean, we
pretty safe.
did see him going for this camp here. I don't know if that's just for an invade, or is that one of his
Oh,
marks? Smite it away. That feels
He
bad,
didn't
man.
have smite, so unlucky, and now he's gonna be run down by Active Force, as there's not gonna be anyone
you're
gonna be
dead.
responding in time, as he's just gonna get solo killed by Active Force. Just such an unlucky timing from for Towel Dog.
Absolute worst case scenario. Of course, the mark in a bad position. You go for it anyway, but you don't have smite. F's in chat for poor Taladog that time by. Just unfortunately, not a good start for him, to say the least. Trying to play that play this Kindred to the maximum, min-maxing as best as possible, get all of those camps, but put him in danger that time, causing first blood. And you give Active Force first blood. Oh dear, this could be solid here for the Saints. say it's mid game to late game as well, considering he's going to be everywhere.
It's just kind of just keeping the Kindred down, and that's going to be the drag going over to the side of St. Clair as well. So Infernal not going to be the soul this time around, which would be very deadly for St. Clair if they did get it, but it's going to be Olaf having a few camps ahead and that one kill, so being able to keep ahead of this Kindred, and I don't believe she has any marks yet, so pretty far behind if I'm Towel Dog right now.
I'm trying to look and see if there's any targets anywhere, but I don't see anything specifically. So a Kindred can just kind of be stuck farming for at least a little bit. And of course, if you're just farming and kind of going even, I feel like I'd probably rather have a tankier melee carry than this excuse me, squishy one here, squishy Kindred. But the later it goes on, this game will still definitely be valuable, especially if just that ultimate is too good as long as you can keep your team in it. But we'll have, I say it time and time again, but we'll have to kind of see how this ends up playing out.
Yeah, the early game may be a bit of a rough one for Taladog after that little incident, but it's gonna have to be put on pause here as there's a little communication error on the side of
Support
Murk.
Discord broke. Okay, yeah, I guess you kind of want to have him in the game. Fair pause, fair pause. It's going to be a quick one, however, so just a quick fix. So game going to keep on keeping on in this moment. Of course, especially when playing as a support, you're paired up with your AD carry. Communication is everything, especially in that lane. So a fair pause nonetheless here for the side of Murk Tempest. Saints going through the jungle, actually, looking to cause a little bit of trouble. Of course, it's going to just be Hackleforce finding himself another crab, continuing to farm up. And right now, at least for the bot lane side of things, basically dead even. When it hits level 6, things are going to get nasty, I'm sure, but we're not quite there just yet. And of course, you have the consistent damage of spinning axes and the Vayne compared to the burst combo of Miensfo and Lazi. And actually, with Miensfo constantly doing roaming, it did let Lazi hit level 6 first, so that bullet time is available already. And then, in theory, Miensfo doesn't even need his ultimate, just needs to lock him down with the standard stun, and the combo could happen. We'll have to see as we move forward here.
Yeah, and since he was roaming around, he did get that full XP, but on the other side, Blazing Cake is so close to his ulti as well, so he will be a bit tankier than Miensfo and might be able to do a bit more as Cooper's just keeps shoving in this top lane, barely missing that taunt, just gonna get a little belly bump back into his territory and trades it back at him for a fair trade.
A little shot for shot. Cooper going to be a little bit more sore in the bicep after that one, however, though. A little bit more damage coming out of Shaden this time by. Frez seeming very comfortable, however, now in this mid lane. He's constantly poking for days. Of course, Adlam can just keep himself shielded up, topped off with heals as well. But it does take up a lot of mana, does take a lot of time to actually get there, so Frez is going to be able to abuse the lane at least a tiny bit. That being said, though, Adlam doing a good job of keeping even in regards to CS anyway versus Frez.
Yeah, and another one of those, I'm just kind of looking at the builds and I see what I call the Hoonie build in the top lane as he has that tier on Gragas. And Hoonie likes to build tiers just on everyone in the top lane, so keeping a bit of a mana sustain against Cooper there, but overall everyone in the entire game just basically dead even in CS.
But does he build tier on Gnar and Shen? That'd be funny, but probably shouldn't.
I don't think he has. I think he's built it on one person who shouldn't have. I think it was actually Gnar. I think he did actually build it on Gnar.
Huh. I mean, it's Hoonie. Definitely
True.
an oddball, and I mean, when you're that strong in NA, I mean, you can basically pull off anything in NA compared to League of Legends or competitive League of Legends. But we do see Active Force making the trip up to the top lane, and he is going to just straight up go for it, R and go. But The Shen ult coming out from Kubra is going to keep him alive as long as he
He's
can
on
get
a
out.
sliver.
The Seraphine is in hot pursuit. Adlam looking to pick him up, as well as Towel Dog. It's going to put Kubra in a bit of an odd spot. Where is Frez? He can turn this around in theory. The charm beautifully dodged there from the side of St. Clair. Get that Herald down. You're going to go down anyway, so you might as well get something out of this. So going to get some plates at least for the side of St. Clair, but given the situation, I guess not terrible for the side of St. Clair that time by.
Yeah, I mean, you got the plates down for your mid lane there. I don't know if Frez was in range for the plates, but he did give that mark over to the Kindred, barely surviving the tower. That Shen shield keeping him alive. He had about like 5 HP before he went down eventually to the tower, giving that kill over to the Kindred. But very low trade as Frez gets a little pushier as Shaden is down here for the drag. Shen does not have TP or the ulti, so it's going to be a 5-on-4 for the rest of this fight as he's in the pit, gets CC'd up, and he's just going to go down instantly. Doesn't even get the ulti off, and that's the combo I was talking about.
An ulti's so good, he killed the dragon twice, apparently, according to the kill feed, but nicely done there for St. Clair, and a good job locking down Tallow Dog. That solar flare from Yensfo directly on target. No smite tonight. And now could see the engage continue. Spinning axes is not going to be long for this world. Axe to the face. Good night. Blazing Cake still pretty worse for wear as well. Shaden trying to find something, but of course, with being a bit of a tankier Gragas is not exactly doing a whole heck of a lot of damage. Doesn't have his explosive cask until another couple of moments. The heal from Lazi, baiting this out, however. But Saints are definitely overstaying their welcome. But actually, Blazing Cake did too. And that's going to give another kill over to Lazi, sitting with 2 now after a solid Dragon Engage and a iffy but successful tower dive.
Yeah, and it's not looking like they want to try anything else after that. It's kind of just reset as the top wave is being pushed in. They don't have TP up for Shaden, so it's just going to run all the way back top, but it's a long walk in. Shaden's just kind of slowly pushing this in, not getting much use out of the time he was bot lane. He could have maybe got more than what he has now, as Shaden's already back top lane, so bit of a misplay from Kubra to kind of slow push that wave, but overall a huge upside for St. Clair getting those kills.
Starts spinning axes. How does that double up just do so much damage? And Lassie's just going to straight up go for it. And when you see Lassie flashing in on people, you know that this game is in trouble for your opponent. When, unfortunately, there, spinning axes has been doing fantastic this entire series, but this Vayne pick, I feel like it might have been countered out a little bit. Unfortunately, there for Cooper, that taunt's just barely out of range. You gotta watch out. Where is the charm from Adlam? It's gonna probably pop out at any moment here. Blazing Cake getting extremely low. That does not matter. We're gonna see it come out a little bit later, but it's gonna be right within turret range, a little bit deadly. But the ult from Towel Dog gonna keep them alive at least a little bit longer, but not long enough. Support carry Miansfo back on duty. Finds himself the kill onto the Seraphine. Adlam goes down.
Yeah, it does find a little bit with the Encore there to draw Frez's flash out, but in the end it wasn't enough, as the Kubra's ulti on top of it just kept Octoforce alive when he went for the tower dive as well. Miansfo does find it with the Ignite, and St. Clair up about 4,000 gold along with 2 drags and only giving over 1 kill in that jungle, so a really good game coming from St. Clair.
Yep, been the best start we've seen from them all series. Best lead I feel like we've seen from them all series, even at the end of game number 2. And as of right now, able to kind of run away with it a little bit. Whereas buying up, gets his Smithful and the Ludens there, I do believe, if I recall correctly. However, Blazing Cake,
did
they're
get
gonna
Gale Force canceled.
yeah, this is going to be brutal. Goes down eventually, but Frez is going to try and at least even this up here alongside Miansfo. Spinning axes just about 1 shot away. Nice hook there, but Frez is actually a little bit worse for wear. It's going to be going down here. Towel Dog going to pick up the kill this time by, so 2 for 1 in the favor of Murk Tempest.
Yeah, Lazi just barely almost getting away there. His Gale Force just a bit too late as the Alistar combo just connect him. On top of that, Frez does commit the TP and finds spinning axes in the end, but didn't have his shockwave available at the time and does go down to the Kindred.
That's always the most heartbreaking thing, right? You're trying to wait it out just long enough to get your ultimate, and as you go down, now you can use it. Definitely frustrating, but now, I mean, at least Saints are just constantly kind of shutting down spinning axes. Yes, spinning axes finally gets himself a kill, but still, going down 3 deaths already is a little bit below in regards to CS numbers, but not by as much as I was initially expecting. Still in this game, but just with the way this composition goes up against the Saints, unless spinning axes can just constantly follow up off of Blazing Cake or maybe the Encore from Adlam, I'm not sure how this Vayne does the work that she wants to do. As we do see Miansfo and Active Force charging on in again. Land's going to make contact. Spinning Axes already used his dash. Going to be going down again. Frez is here as well. 4 on 3 rather, as I do see the beam coming out here from Adlam. So Saint's going to get out of dodge. It's probably Dragon number 3 right around the corner, starting it already. And last time we saw Saints basically get 4 dragons in a row. They took care of it like it was nobody's business. They're on pace to do that again.
Yeah, it's looking like a 21-minute soul again here for St. Clair. It's going to be that Cloud this time. It's going to be a bit of a more useless dragon for them. I mean, they are kind of a comp that just runs in and will just barely get in the scuttle there. Almost we're getting it, but just going to trade the Herald for drag as the Vayne did go down, so they can't really contest anything, and they're going to take what they can and try and get something out of it.
Lots of Saints up on that top side as of right now, but more than likely just to kind of farm it up. Maybe see if Shaden's paying attention, but is in fact keeping himself safe, hiding in the bush up top for now at least. Frez still basically going even with Adlam here, even though I guess CS-wise they're even as well, but the extra kill and assist cash ain't quite enough to be able to really spike Adlam down, because I mean Orianna doesn't really become a burst mage until like super late game, I suppose. But tower dive up top is what we're looking like right now.
Yeah, and they're gonna be countered by the side
they're here.
of Murk Tempest. They sniffed that one out before it could get a bit too dicey for them, but in the end it's gonna be them backing off, and Olaf just gonna go take another Kindred camp.
Yeah, Saints Tower is all safe for the most part. Cooper gonna just come down and get up as much farm as possible. Spinning Axis trying to take this turret down, but has to worry about getting taunted under the tower. Shockwave on target, but the ultimate is going to get popped here from Towel Dog. So at least it's not going to be available for whatever the next fight happens to be, because that ultimate takes forever to come back in. So early in the game anyways. So I guess a positive trade here for the Saints, considering nobody went down. And actually, they catch Towel Dog once again. And Mienzo just going to straight up try to solo him. Pretty close. Solar Flare right into Lassie. Takes him down. Spinning Axes gets caught in the shop. And he is going to be taken down as well. Hand that one over. Nicely gift wrapped over to Cooper 3. I will take that every day and twice on Sunday. Thank you very much. Get me boosted up and become an absolute tanky beast. And everything is going right now for the Saints. Catching them off guard time and time again.
Yeah, he greeted out for the blue buff in the completely warded blue jungle there of basically what St. Clair owns now of their own map. So wasn't able to get his blue buff and pays his life for it in return, as Spinning Axes does have a little bit of a problem in that bot lane trying to 1v1 Cooper, and has Olaf just run her down as well.
Yeah, definitely a feels bad man moment when you're in the midst of that 1v1 and then somebody else just joins in. It's like, dude, let me have my duel. I'm meant for this. And then, nope, axe. You are absolutely toast. Now, in regards to objectives, 25 seconds until Baron Asher makes his first appearance in this game. And then about 2 minutes or so, minute 45 to be specific, until we do see possibly a Dragon Soul if the Saints can pick it up. So, 2 heavily sought after objectives just about to come up here. And I still... Oh, that's a feels bad, man. Resetting that red buff on yourself. But it's okay, plenty of damage. Well... Anyway, losing my track of thought, but Baron and Dragon right around the corner. It's about to get dicey.
Yeah, and Kindred ulti is not up yet still for a Baron fight, so they have to be careful of that if they want to play around it, but it will be up for that Dragon in about 70 seconds, so depending on what they want in regards, if they want to give over anything, but it's going to have to be Herald dropped in the blue jungle up there as the timer did expire. Bit of an unlucky one for them, but St. Clair does have the ability to just give over that dragon and go straight for Baron, as they don't have much to lose if they give away a dragon to Tempest.
Yeah, that Herald did absolutely nothing. Active 4 is just going to shred that down like it's nobody's business, which is kind of funny. Like, Towel Dog on the Kindred, he had that Herald for so long, and I felt like he was even in positions to possibly even maybe at least get one little headbutt in. They have not been best value, but it's better than just whipping it out and it dying instantly. So definitely rough, and now with Baron up and 20 seconds till Dragon, a couple of the Saints coming back freshly bought. Lazzy fully loaded as well. Ultimate in hand. The combo is ready. Let's see if the Saints can pull this one off, or if Murk Tempest can make the upset, considering they're actually significantly behind in gold for this part of the game anyway.
Yeah, Drake just fine. They're instantly going to be starting it up. Lazzy and Frez are roaming down, but it seems they're just going to be conceding it. They're not really prepared for this. They set up, they cleared vision, but they just aren't ready. And in the end, it's just going to be Soul going over.
This is a second game in a row that Murk Tempest just concedes the Soul like it's nothing. Granted, you're saying this one, the Wind Soul, or Wind Soul, you said, right? Is maybe a little bit not as valuable compared to some of the other ones in the game, but still, to not even challenge it is very, very odd.
Yeah, you know, they kind of like set up for it. They cleared all the vision around that red jungle to prepare for it, but then in the end, they just had Gragas on top side, just farming. They didn't really, in the end, just went to farming instead of conceding or even trying anything else. So bit of a questionable one, as they just gave a free Soul over and put St. Clair one step ahead of them once again.
It's just definitely unusual. They had resources. I mean, I can understand not necessarily wanting to take a 5-on-5 fight, but at the same time, I feel like you still could have done some damage. You're like relatively behind, considering the part in the game, how long we are in here, but at the same time, you could have done something. It's just, I don't know. My mind is pinging me question marks right now, and Baron is now on the menu here for St. Clair. Frez is going to find a little bit of chip damage on the Shaden, but you can see, not going for that AP style, actually being a little bit tankier, much better at dealing with some of this harassment from the Saints.
Yeah, they're really just controlling the jungle here, as Alaman does have maybe fighting off more they can chew in his bot lane, as Cooper is just basically soloing him as he flashes the Encore, kills him with the Sunfire, and that's going to be a dead Seraphine in the bot lane.
This does not spell very well for the side of Murk Tempest, not in the slightest. Like, the Saints haven't even been able to really pull off their true combo as of yet. Now, the only one looking to even possibly contest seems to be Blazing Cake as of this moment. The rest of the Murk Tempest squad are nearby. Do they opt to go for it? Shaden is there. Shockwave takes care of the two tanky front members. And then Spinning Axes gets absolutely murked in the back line. We have ourselves a double Mienzo. He's trying to stop the Baron. And actually, Towel Dog popped the ultimate.
He wasted the smite there. It's good.
There it goes. Frey's going to finish him off. And solid job nonetheless there from the Saints. One more, Kubra. You've got this. Okay, never mind.
No, he doesn't.
This could be a bad time. Okay, he's going to get out of dodge, of course.
Grog is passive.
Yeah, Grog is passive, and then Kubra. That Shen is finally attacking with a wet noodle. instead of a sword. But another convincing fight. Saints lost absolutely nothing in that fight, and they're going to be able to keep on pushing. You have a Baroned up cannon minion with the rest of the minions as well, going to be able to tear through this like it's nobody's business. Take this inhib, go back, find another set of turrets to go destroy, get some items once again, and just keep pushing until this thing is gone. Or that Elder does respawn, whichever comes first, because there's about another 3 minutes or so before the Elder makes its appearance.
Yeah, it's going to be another one of those games where you get a couple Barons, Elder shows up, and the game's just kind of over after that.
And just, I guess Frez may have got himself a little bit overzealous, and that's going to be a solid shutdown. It did go over to the Seraphine as well, so not too bad. Catches Frez on a bit of a bad back, but I guess it is what it is there. Solid job there for the side of Murk to at least scrap something here. And it's just unfortunate here for Murk Tempest. The one game that Saints are actually able to shut down spinning axes is the game that they're getting absolutely destroyed. Like, spinning axes feels like it just gets popped in every single team fight like it's nobody's business. There's just too much damage just even from strictly active force. That's another one of the big mistakes. Active Force is in his hyper carry stance, where he feels like he's the super fed AD carry, but instead he's just pushing R and diving right on the spinning axes every single time. So much burst damage, so much true damage that Murk Tempest can't do anything. And it's definitely a feels bad kind of moment, but they have to find a way to get their carries back into this game, because right now they put a lot of faith in the Kindred and a lot of faith into Spinning Axis' Vayne, and neither of them are really shining right now.
The Spinning Axis is getting a bit aggressive on the Kuber. Does get taunted back. Will be pushed away, and it's going to be Spinning Axis finding the kill onto Kubra, and it's going to be some gold going into his pocket, about 450 to be exact. But on the bot side here, you have the rest of St. Clair just pushing in the bot tower as the inhib is on their menu, but be careful. That course is getting a bit over aggressive here as this
nobody got hit.
Barely missing Frez as the body slam does come through. He does have his Ragnarok still as it comes through in the end, just to dodge the cask as Blazing takes a lot of damage on the side. Lazi having to Gale Force out of there to live. It will be another re-engage actually. The ulti coming up from Kindred as Mansfro is being the target now, and it's going to be the Solar Flow coming down. Lazi going back in. He's going to find one. Will he find the second as he does get rooted up? It's going to be the disengage from the side of Tempest, and it's going to be St. Clair just having to go back, and Elder's on the menu now as it was a poorly timed fight. As it may have been a last-ditch effort to get something before the Elder spawned.
And it's really rough here for Murk Tempest as well, because as much as they would want to try and contest this Elder, there are super minions in the base. They have to go back and snag that, otherwise they might come into this next fight without a couple Nexus turrets. So as if the Saints need to be any more buffed up, they are going to be just that. Elder loaded up, ready to go. Lazi, he's feeling like frontlining, and that usually means trouble. And with how far ahead he is right now, obviously not invincible. Nothing like a charm to shut you up real quick when you're feeling like you're fed. But so far, so good for the Saints. They want to hop into either the top 12 or the top 8. And it's right around the corner. It's within grasp. But, I mean, how many times have we seen a team win until they lose? Well, I don't want to do commentary curse as of yet.
You know, it's hard to say if you could curse it, but I feel like Elder's just a buff. It's hard to just curse that when you just do any damage and there goes your entire team.
I mean, an AP or an AD carry trying to frontline might definitely overthrow the power of a buff, but we'll have to see once again. That tower does go down. Shaden going to be the target of Active Force for just a moment. And look at Frez, just has the ball right on Active Force, ready to go. They're attacking Active Force, doesn't even matter. Just going to shield up everything. Saints just have to still travel as a unit, however. Somebody gets caught out, it could be in for a bad time. Top side, the only thing left for the Saints to take other than the Nexus itself. And it looks like they're going to methodically take care of every single lane, push so that there's super minions and everything, so that you just get absolutely overwhelmed, like the never-ending Zerg rush that you just can't stop no matter how many siege tanks you have in the background. And we're going to see Saints take care of one more, and now it's up for this top inhibitor, and then everything's gone.
And just the amount of damage coming through from Lazi and Frez on these towers, just ripping through. It's going to be 3 inhibs going down in 20 seconds before that next Baron comes up. But St. Clair is looking to look at that mid inhib once again as a good respawn.
And it's gone.
And yeah, there it goes. And they're going to back out and just run straight to that Baron.
And I mean, it may be slow, but it's methodical. It's taking care of every possible advantage. It's getting ahead and then getting even more ahead. And this is the kind of style I'd like to see basically in any game, but especially here in League of Legends, where sometimes fights can absolutely get turned on its head at its moment's notice. And actually, Murk Tempest, they left the base. They might be looking to try and make a play, or they're just really trying to get a jump on these super minions. I'm really not 100% sure what they're doing, but there are super minions actually on the Nexus as of this moment. We're going to take a look here. Okay, they're not necessarily doing enough damage as of yet, but it was getting scary. That one super minion's right there. But it just goes to show you, leave your base for like a split second, and there was one super minion. Now you have to count them all for each lane. And then all of a sudden, you might win a fight, but your base is still dead. Like, there's so much that Murk has to worry about right now.
Yeah, they're trying to get out of their base, get some little leads, but there's just too many minions. 6 minions coming each wave, now baroned up. Elder is gone, so that's a little bit of a bright side, as Shaden does take half his health from 200 from Lazian. It's
big engage
coming down. That's going to be the encore finding Lazius. His Vayne does flash away. He does kite out the Olaf, but he does go down to Lazi. The ulti coming down from Kindred is a re-engage. Lazi does get caught out. He's going to go down. It's going to be Shen, the only last one alive. And this is actually the fight they've been looking for, but I don't think it's enough, as Huber does flash down. He does have the Tiamat. No, it doesn't actually. This is Omen. This is passive as well. And it's going to be the Nexus turret's going down, and that's a lot of minions with Baron.
Oh, bring the swarm, my minions. There goes the Nexus, and that is going to be St. Clair winning this 2-1. Look at that. That might as well be the Hive. The entire swarm is on the Saints side, and they are going to take this series 2-1. Well fought, but that game 3 was extremely decisive compared to the other matches that we've seen here. Saints firing on all cylinders this time by, and getting all of their advantages. Good thing they did, because to be honest, that last engage was exactly what I was worried about from the side of Murk Tempest. They were so close to spinning that around. With Cooper being the last one alive, that wasn't much damage. If they strictly just tried to take that fight, but with like one inhibitor up, they could have easily just ran it down to the other base and did some damage. But good on the Saints to actually be patient in that game, take every advantage, push forward, and secure themselves the victory, getting into the next round of the Upsurge Minor League playoffs.
Yeah, and a really a very clean game from St. Clair. I felt they knew what they wanted to do. They went from bot to mid to top to Drakes to Barons, and just easily just kind of ran them over, and and Tempest just kind of let them just step all over them, because they didn't really contest anything. It just felt like they were playing Farming Simulator all game.
Yeah, and I mean, there is an esport for that, but that's not League of Legends, and unfortunately there, as soon as Spinning Axis had himself a hard time, had himself a bad matchup, like game 1, he went pretty neutral for the most part. He just popped off during team fights. Game 2, okay, he was ahead the entire game, but for the most part, but unfortunately just couldn't, or no, reverse that. Game 1, he was ahead basically the entire game. Game 2, he went neutral and could have still did something. But Game 3 was behind basically from the start. And again, very similar problem. Instead of an Udyr, it was an Olaf, constantly in the Vayne's face. Nowhere to go. You can tumble around all you want, but you only get one like every 5 seconds. And Olaf does not care. Just go, take him down, alongside the rest of the Saints. And Spinning Axis was just not able to make that impact. Adlam as well. You took him off of carry potential to put him on support duty, basically. Because, I mean, yes, that Seraphine is a fantastic champion right here, right now. Just makes so much impact in so many games just with the ultimate by itself, basically being, like, Sona on steroids, but by doing that, you don't have that damage that they were looking for the past 2 games. They tried way too different of a composition strictly to try and appease the Seraphine pick, and it didn't work.
Yeah, it's a bit of an unfortunate ending after having a pretty good first game and St. Clair just being able to come back in the end and reverse sweep it, as it seemed the Udyr was the problem in the end. And
Yeah.
take him off the Udyr, it just kind of falls apart, it seems.
Well, that's the thing for Towel Dog too, right? Because yeah, the Udyr game, he was an absolute menace. Was absolutely in every single lane, making everybody have themselves a hard time, and even got a couple kills himself to be a threat in its own right, which is good because he needed to be the main tank there for that team. But okay, Udyr's banned. We don't want it. Yeah, let's do Lilia. Okay, I have damage, but I'm squishy. Okay, I'm gonna pick my solo queue hero. Unfortunately, not going to happen. Kindred got shut down extremely early, went in for that first initial mark, got wiped for it, and it was just downhill from there. And it's unfortunate. Like Tao Dog just was basically the non-factor in that game. Shaden as well. Like I'm kind of teased him a little bit after game 2 because I'm like, hey, it felt like you were a non-factor, but at least if you were Gragas, you could press R and like mess up a team fight.
Yeah.
Even still in game 3, he was Gragas, and sure, he pressed R, but it still felt like he did nothing in a team fight. And it was like the situation where I keep saying, if Lazi has all the eggs in his basket that the Saints lose, this time it was the side of Murk Tempest putting all the eggs in Spinning Axe's basket, which granted, he was playing so well that entire series, I don't blame you for kind of trying that, but it didn't work. It just didn't work.
Yeah. In the end, he tried his best, but they kind of just focused the entire game on the bot lane. I think they dived him like 4 times in a tower there, so it's just kind of a life of being an ADC player, and in the end, it's not your game.
That's the thing too, right? You're Vayne. You have your condemn, but otherwise, that's basically it. It's like even if you got the chance to play Ashe again, granted, I know game 2 they banned it out, but if you got the opportunity to play Ashe, you can slow them under the turret. You can stun them yourself. You can be the engager for your team. Now, okay, maybe you picked a Jinx in game number 2. A little bit harder sell here, but that being said, you do have at least the traps that you can whip out. If somebody dives onto you, you can stop them under the turret and maybe try and deter them a little bit. Vayne, you just angle yourself properly so that you're not up against the wall and you're fine. Like, there's no defense. It's strictly relying on you to dodge things. But how do you dodge R right click? You don't. You just get run down eventually. So we kind of called it from the start, though, that the draft just seems that much better in game number 3 for St. Clair. And props to the Saints side of things. Props to the coach as well for, of course, Shadi for giving them that composition, and also props to the team for actually taking the composition, because I know there's a few times it's like, oh, this comp's no fun. I want to try something different. It's like, no, this is playoffs. Play this, please. And they listened, and it worked. I'm happy to see it.
Yeah, and overall, it was a series to kind of be proud of after having kind of a rough first game, getting basically 2 20-minute souls followed by a Baron into an Elder, and then ending basically perfectly. So I think it's a very strong showing from St. Clair of what they can do, and one of the second team that taken 1 game off St. Clair now. So you can see why they made it through that first stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, again, big props to Murk Tempest for making it this far and whatnot. And if this does end up being a double elimination bracket, then good luck on your losers bracket run. But I do believe it is single. So if so, hey, top 16 and the entire league is nothing to be ashamed at. Props on your run. That being said, of course, I just want to give again one more props towards the Saints side of things, because we've seen in the past, we've seen in other leagues, we've seen in CLAW, we've seen in OPSC, they lose a game it messes with their head, and they absolutely throw the rest of the series. We've seen it time and time again where they might win game 1, but then they might lose game 2 so badly that game 3 might as well not even happen because they lose. I was really worried that with the loss of game 1, that this was going to end up happening. Everybody would have got upset. We would have seen one of those Summoner's Rift tours where there's a battle that starts at the top and goes all the way down to the bottom because everybody just does full sends into the other team for next to no reason at all. We did not see that kind of St. Clair today, and that makes me very proud.
Yeah, it's one of the things I'm not going to forget for a long time.
It was definitely entertaining in its own right. But with that, is there any other final thoughts here for this matchup before we do get ready to close out for tonight?
I think that's. I think we've touched all topics. I think whoever the next opponent is, St. Clair will be ready for it, and they've kind of shown a little bit of what they can dish out.
Absolutely. Now, of course, a couple thank yous to go around here. First, I want to start off with something a little different. Of course, big thank you again to the OPSC for rating us a little bit earlier today, sending your community over to us. Hopefully, everything on your guys' end went fantastic as well, but thank you for promoting us as well. And, of course, a big thank you. Apologies if I do end up butchering this. Yurkos, thank you for the sub with the Twitch Prime or the Prime Gaming, whatever they call it nowadays. Thank you for your support here on the broadcast. And, of course, thank you to everybody for tuning in for your support of the broadcast and joining us here tonight, supporting your squad. They pull the W out here for us tonight. It looks a little bit scary at first, but the Saints pull through, and we will see them again next week. I'll let you know exactly when we pull up the schedule. And two more from last thank yous, of course. First being the sponsors, St. Clair College, Tim Hortons, PC Outlet, St. Clair Alumni Association, St. Clair SRC, and the Zeckelman School of Business and Information Technology for sponsoring us here on the Saints Gaming, or not the Saints Gaming, with the St. Clair Saints varsity esports team. Thank you for your support there. And then Matt, thank you for joining me once again here on the commentary booth. Always a pleasure. Definitely leveling up this across this entire season. Look forward to seeing more casts with you.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure being here for the league cast, and it's always a banger series whenever I'm here.
Absolutely. Now, let's take a look at the schedule. The next couple matches that we'll be seeing here on the Saints Gaming stream are as follows. Tomorrow, we have ourselves a bit of a late start, 9 o'clock at night for the Collegiate R6 Rainbow Six Siege Winter Series. Looking forward to seeing that matchup, of course. Then on Saturday at 7 o'clock, as long as the COD community lets me, because they can just turn down my streaming attempts at a moment's notice because rules, not salty in the slightest. We have Call of Duty Cold War for the Activision Blizzard Collegiate Cold War League. Hoping we can see that action starting at 7 o'clock. Then on Sunday, we return to Counter-Strike, some CSGO basic contenders action. And then as long as it doesn't get rescheduled, the next Upsurge Minor League League of Legends playoff match is Monday at 8 p.m. Of course, this week it got changed up a little bit due to the requests of the teams. It may happen again, but considering it is reading week / March break, we should be A-okay unless nobody's going on vacation during this time, let's be real here. So probably not. Then on Tuesday, 5 o'clock, there's going to be a doubleheader, starting off with Rocket League, but then later on in that evening, we will have another match as well. To be determined still, but still, as you can kind of tell, lots, excuse me, losing it a little bit here. Lots of action here on the St. Clair Saints stream, so make sure to follow us here on Twitch and on Twitter to make sure that you get all the results and get all the news moving forward into the playoff season. I know some of these leagues just started, but there's going to be a lot to keep track of. You're going to want to have more than just the stream broadcast to keep you up to date. I know even I have a hard time sometimes. Now, with that, we shall close out for the night. So again, thank you everybody for tuning in. I will see you tomorrow for some Rainbow Six Siege action.